A few minutes ago, I was just a regular guy having a drink after work. Now, I've woken up in the body of a 12-year-old boy named Liam Hamilton, the fifth son of an earl. My new skin is smooth, my beard is gone, and I'm surrounded by luxury in a massive mansion. I quickly realized I was at a party celebrating the birth of my new baby sister. My father, Earl Charles Hamilton, is the third generation of this noble line. If he doesn't achieve something big, the next generation will lose their noble status and become commoners. His plan is to raise his daughter to become the emperor's consort to save the family's rank. Because of this, he is completely indifferent to his sons, barely even looking at me when I speak to him. My older brother, Bruno, is the cynical fourth son. He's accepted that we are basically useless to the family and plans to live a carefree life until we inevitably become commoners. However, I've always dreamed of magic. In this world, magic is a weapon monopolized by the nobility, and only about 1 in 100 people have the talent for it. I asked Bruno about learning magic, and he pointed me toward the family library. I found a book on basic fire magic and started practicing. The book acts as a guide. As long as you hold it, it helps you manifest spells. Following the instructions on breathing and concentration, I managed to create a small flame on my fingertip on my very first try. The maid was impressed, and I felt a rush of excitement I never had in my old life. For the next month, I spent every single day in the woods behind the mansion practicing. Since I'm a noble, I don't have to work, so I dedicated all my time to mastering the flame cutter spell. One day, Bruno found me in the woods and asked to see my progress. I put the magic book down on the grass and cast the spell perfectly without touching the book. Bruno was shocked. He told me that it normally takes a full year of practice to use magic without holding a guidebook. He couldn't believe I did it in a month and even wondered if the book itself was some legendary treasure. Bruno asked if I was working this hard because I wanted to become the head of the family. I didn't even know that was an option. He explained that our father is only working so hard because he doesn't want to lose his power and lifestyle. Once the title passes to the next generation, we officially become commoners unless the family's status is renewed. While Bruno has given up, I realized that my obsession with magic might actually change my future in this new world. Liam realized his father's obsession with the family's noble rank was fueled by the fear of losing his own luxurious lifestyle. Since Liam was making progress, his brother Bruno got annoyed and gave up, throwing his own magic book at Liam before storming off. A few days later, Liam headed to the library to start learning basic ice magic. He learned that ice magic is much rarer and harder than fire because lowering temperature is more difficult than raising it. While walking through the hallway, he tried to practice using the book as a guide, but he messed up and accidentally set the book on fire with a stray fire spell. His father, Earl Charles, caught him and was initially angry about the fire in the hallway. However, when he realized Liam was practicing ice magic and had already mastered fire magic without needing a guidebook in just 1 month, his entire attitude changed. For the first time, he looked Liam in the eye with genuine interest. He took Liam to a living room to see a demonstration. Under pressure, Liam focused and successfully froze the surface of the book. The Earl was overjoyed, realizing Liam had massive potential that could save the family's status. He promised to collect every magic book Liam wanted. Their conversation was interrupted when a butler whispered that someone had fled into their territory, causing the Earl's mood to sour as he hurried away. Hold up. Smash like and subscribe for more hidden manga gems. Now, I dare you to comment, I'm loving it. I bet most of you won't do it. Alright, let's continue. The next day, Liam went to his usual spot in the woods to practice. He found a strange man sitting against a tree, looking exhausted. The man initially thought Liam was there to capture him, but quickly realized Liam was just a kid practicing magic. The stranger noticed Liam's talent and offered to teach him a more efficient way to learn. The man demonstrated simultaneous casting, using different spells on each finger at the same time. He explained that instead of learning spells one by one, Liam should practice them all at once to save time. Liam tried it and to the man's shock, successfully cast 2 different spells, one in each hand on his first try. This was a legendary skill that only 1 in a million people could pull off. When Liam tried to cast 3 spells at once, the magic faded because he ran out of energy, but the man was still deeply impressed. He explained a secret rule. This technique only works in prime numbers. He told Liam he would get stuck at 4 spells but would find it easier again once he reached 5. The man then gave Liam a magical ring called Magicpedia, which contained the data of 100 magic books, allowing him to learn without carrying a heavy stack of volumes. Liam became so absorbed in practicing a new wind spell using the ring that he lost track of time. He was startled when a maid appeared to bring him back to the mansion, warning him about dangerous animals in the woods. When Liam turned around to introduce his new teacher, the man had completely vanished. The maid handed Liam a very old book titled Basic Summoning Magic. sent by his father. Liam took the book, grateful for the new resource, and prepared to head back. The man was not actually gone. He had simply used an invisibility spell. He reappeared in the same spot, explaining that the spell was already stored inside the Magicpedia ring for Liam to learn later. Before leaving for good, the mentor offered one last lesson. He told Liam to open his new summoning book and use the ring to absorb its contents. Liam followed the instructions, and to his surprise, the ring acted like a digital notebook, instantly memorizing the spell. He quickly uploaded the summoning rituals for the lower-ranking spirits of fire, wind, water, and earth. When Liam looked up again, the man had vanished, leaving only a message written in the dirt telling Liam to keep practicing and to keep their meeting a secret. Liam respectfully erased the message, viewing the stranger as his true master. Liam's father was stunned when he saw his son practicing. Liam explained that he was now training with simultaneous casting, though he could only manage 2 spells at once initially due to his limited energy. Over the next month, Liam practiced day and night. His energy reserves grew, and he eventually reached the legendary milestone of casting 5 spells at the same time. He had also mastered all 100 spells stored in the ring. To make his training more practical, Liam developed a hobby of creating Recuro crystals in the woods. These crystals, which restore magical energy, are formed by processing the soil around a specific type of grass. By summoning a gnome to gather the soil, using 3 fireballs to melt it, and a sylph to fan the flames, Liam could produce high-purity crystal. When he showed one to his father, the Earl was shocked. The purity was so high, 99.999%, that it was considered professional grade for elite mages. His father praised him deeply, realizing that Liam's ability to do the work of 5 mages at once made him a rare genius. While exploring, Liam discovered a massive deposit of iron sand. Using his knowledge from both his past life and the family library, he decided to try his hand at metallurgy. He summoned a gnome to mold a massive clay pot and a salamander to melt the iron sand inside. By precisely controlling the heat with the fire spirit, he was able to melt the iron without destroying the clay container. He then had the gnome create an incredibly detailed mold of a rose. The result was a perfect, realistic iron rose with delicate petals, a level of craftsmanship impossible for normal blacksmith. Liam realized that with this moldless casting technique, he could create anything and would never have to worry about money again. Still looking for more ways to use his skills, Liam decided to produce white charcoal, a luxury fuel that is much harder and cleaner than regular black charcoal. It required a very specific process, heating wood at extreme temperatures in a completely airtight environment. He used a gnome to seal a tree trunk in a perfect soil casing, and a sylph to filter out the oxygen inside to prevent the wood from simply turning to ash. After 10 minutes of intense heating with triple fireballs, he cracked open the casing to find high-quality white charcoal that rang like metal when tapped. Liam felt confident. Between his high-purity crystals, expert ironwork, and luxury charcoal, he had mastered enough skills to secure his future, regardless of his noble status. Liam tested his new white charcoal and found it burned hotter and brighter than the most famous brands. Realizing its value, he took a basket of it to a charcoal guild in town. The guild master was stunned by the quality, which sounded like metal when struck. Liam claimed the process was a magical secret and even showed off a fire spirit to prove his point. Impressed, the guild master offered him an exclusive deal at a high price. Liam realized he now had a way to make money, but he didn't want to rely on just one product. He wanted something essential for daily life. While walking through town, he noticed how much people loved noodles, but fresh noodles spoiled quickly. He saw a business opportunity in long-term preservation. He first tried freezing them with ice magic, but they thawed and became soggy almost instantly. Then he tried drying them. Using a water spirit, he sucked all the moisture out of raw noodles, making them rock hard. He also tried frying them at a low temperature using a fire spirit, which turned them golden brown but left them tasteless. Liam then had a breakthrough. He soaked the noodles in a rich broth first, then used the water spirit to dry them. He took this new creation to the mansion's kitchen and asked a maid for hot water. When he poured the water over the dried noodles, they softened and released the flavor of the broth. The maid was amazed. They were delicious and ready in seconds. Liam dubbed them instant noodles. He spent the next month mass-producing charcoal and instant noodles in the woods. A local guild master was ready to order 10,000 meals, but the deal hit a snag. As a noble's son who wasn't the heir, Liam wasn't allowed to do business in his family's territory without permission. To bypass this, he had to either wait until he was an adult or sell the goods in a different territory. To solve the transport problem, Liam mastered the item box spell from his magic ring. Initially, the box would reset and delete everything inside every time it was closed. However, through intense practice, simultaneously casting 7 spells at once, Liam finally mastered it. Now the box safely stored all his goods, allowing him to carry over 300 kg of charcoal and 1,000 servings of noodles in a pocket dimension that didn't reset. Still, traveling to another territory as a child was difficult. To fix this, Liam experimented with contract summoning. He discovered he could make a contract with himself to summon a magical clone. This clone shared the same abilities and, crucially, the same item box. After confirming that an item put into the box by the original could be pulled out by the clone, Liam sent his magical double on a 3-day journey to a distant town to sell the goods. While the clone traveled, Liam stayed behind, monitoring the item box contents from the mansion to track the progress of his secret business. Liam's plan worked perfectly. The moment his magical clone reached the distant town, the items in his shared item box were replaced with silver coins. By using the clone to travel one way and then dispelling the summon, Liam effectively completed a 6-day business trip in just 3 days. Eager to test more possibilities, Liam headed to the coast. He first tried to use a water spirit, Undine, to extract pure drinking water from the sea. However, Undine struggled, explaining that because seawater is a natural substance, separating it is nearly impossible for a lower-ranking spirit. Realizing he needed a different approach, Liam summoned several gnomes to build a massive 15-meter-tall clay structure shaped like a pointed hat. He then used salamanders to boil the seawater inside and frouse small, white-haired ice spirits to cool the top of the structure. This created a giant distillation system. Fresh water began dripping into his item box like a waterfall, producing 20 liters of pure water every minute. Before leaving, Liam tested the limits of his item box by opening it underwater. The vacuum-like force sucked in millions of liters of seawater instantly. Liam realized that with his clones and this storage capacity, he could single-handedly transport enough water and supplies to sustain a city of 40,000 people. This gave him total confidence that he could survive anywhere, even if his family lost their noble status. Later, Liam visited a nearby lake to practice more inhaling and exhaling with the item box. After draining the lake and refilling it, he noticed 2 new items in his inventory, 100 kg of gold dust and a letter. The letter was from his mysterious master, who had predicted Liam would practice at the lake. The master had hidden the gold there as a graduation gift to help Liam start his independent life. While practicing in the woods one day, Liam was interrupted by his eldest brother, Albrevit. Unlike his other brothers, Albrevit was the heir to the family and carried a sharp, hidden hostility. He had heard rumors from the servants about Liam's genius-level magic and saw him as a threat to his inheritance. Liam sensed the danger and quickly played dumb, claiming he only wanted to learn a trade and leave home as soon as possible. Relieved that Liam had no interest in the family title, Albrevit's hostility vanished. He even offered to introduce Liam to the Hunters Guild. Seeing this as a chance to grow his influence, Liam accepted and headed into town to enter the guild for the first time. Inside the Hunters Guild, the atmosphere was like a rowdy bar. Rough-looking men stared at Liam, mocking him for being a kid in a place for warriors. Ignoring them, Liam approached the guild master, a round, plump man who had already been briefed by Liam's brother, Albrevit. The guild master insisted on a test, explaining that the hunter world is a meritocracy where skill matters more than noble blood. He asked Liam to demonstrate his magic, laughing when he realized Liam didn't even know what a chant was. Liam learned that chants are spells used to boost magical power, but since he had never needed them, he simply fired a 5-shot magic missile. The bullets flew with such speed and force that the guild master barely blocked them, even taking a hit to the face. The onlookers were stunned, realizing Liam was a high-ranking wizard who didn't even need to chant. Impressed, the guild master immediately issued Liam a B-rank license. As Liam prepared to leave, a cheerful girl named Asuna introduced herself. She was a teenager with a high ponytail and a friendly vibe, joking that her family had been nobles 10 generations ago. She invited Liam to team up, explaining that hunting is safer in pairs. They headed to the outskirts of town. Asuna explained that while high-rank hunters take specific contracts, lower ranks mostly clean up areas by hunting dangerous beasts for reward. She spotted a golden bee, a rare creature that collects metal and builds nests filled with treasure. To track it, Liam used a spell called Paint, marking the bee with pink smoke that only they could see. They followed the trail deep into the woods until they found the nest. To lure the bees out, Liam pulled gold dust from his item box. When the swarm emerged, he summoned a salamander to burn them all instantly. Asuna was shocked by his endless variety of spells. They collected the valuable nest and sold it for 300 silver coins, a month's worth of income for a normal person, which they split evenly. The next day, Asuna thanked Liam at the guild, clearly proud of their success. She mentioned a new job, clearing stray dogs from the Western Highway because an important official was visiting soon. Liam agreed and they headed out. Before the fight, Liam cast Shell on Asuna to boost her defense. He explained that while he could enhance her knives, it would make them fragile, and as a commoner, Asuna preferred to keep her tools in good shape. When a pack of 5 vicious dogs surrounded them, Liam summoned 5 gnomes. As the dogs bit into the earth spirits, Liam made the gnomes swell up, forcing the dogs' jaws open and leaving them helpless. Asuna moved in with her knives, finishing them off with precision. Liam used his item box to store the carcasses, and they continued hunting until they had 42 dogs. Back at the guild, the master was floored by the massive haul. He paid them 126 silver coins, skipping the count because he now fully trusted Liam's honesty. Recognizing their talent, the guild master offered a formal request to hunt a monster. Unlike normal beasts, monsters have magic crystals and are far more dangerous. Liam accepted, taking a night to rest and recharge his mana. The next day, they searched for the target, a Manwha caterpillar. Asuna was grossed out by the idea of a human-sized bug, but Liam remained focused. To save time, he cast Enemy Search, a tracking spell to pinpoint the creature's exact location for their first real monster hunt. Liam's Enemy Search spell revealed that there were actually 2 monsters instead of 1. When he shared this with Asuna, she was stunned to learn he had already mastered over 100 spells. She rushed back to the guild to report the second monster and returned with great news. Since the guild hadn't known about the second creature, they offered to quintuple the reward if the pair could take down both. However, the hunt proved difficult. The Manwha caterpillar's hide was incredibly tough. Liam's fire and ice spells bounced right off, and even his summoned spirits couldn't leave a scratch. Asuna's knives were equally useless, chipping against the monster's metallic skin. They were forced to retreat and rethink their strategy. Asuna suggested using magic to buff her attack power, but Liam warned against it, explaining that boosting strength beyond what the human body can handle often results in broken bone. Just as Asuna was about to give up, she jokingly wished for a meteorite to fall from the sky. This gave Liam a brilliant idea. He asked Asuna to lure the caterpillar into a clear area. As she led the beast on a chase, Liam used his item box to pull out a massive rock, 20 meters wide, which he had previously stored from a nearby mountain. He positioned the box directly above the monster and dropped the boulder, crushing the caterpillar instantly. They repeated the trick for the second monster and returned to the guild with the flattened carcasses, leaving the other hunters in total awe of their efficiency. A few days later, a high-ranking official named James Stanley arrived in town. Because of their recent success, the guild chose Liam and Asuna to stand in the front row of the welcoming party. Liam's brother, Albrecht, greeted him warmly, but Asuna sensed his hidden motive. She realized Albrecht was pushing Liam into the Hunters Guild to ensure he stayed far away from the family inheritance. Liam didn't mind. He wanted independence anyway. To Liam's surprise, James Stanley summoned him for a private meeting. James recognized the Magicpedia ring on Liam's finger and revealed he was an old friend of Liam's mysterious master, Raymond. To test Raymond's new apprentice, James ordered his bodyguard, Simon, to defend against Liam's magic. Liam used a chant to push his limits, firing 11 consecutive magic missiles. The attack was so strong it shattered Simon's magical barrier and sent the guard reeling. Deeply impressed, James immediately granted Liam the rank of knight. This official state title gave Liam legal independence from his family, effectively ending Albrecht's hostility since Liam was no longer a rival for the Earl's title. Before James left, he gave Liam a hint about his master's graduation gift. He explained that Raymond loved double traps and that the 100 kg of gold Liam found earlier was just a distraction. The real treasure was still hidden. Liam returned to the lake and analyzed his master's letter again. He realized the clue was in the specific weight of the gold. He drained the lake and placed exactly 100 kg of gold dust back onto the dry lake bed. This triggered a secret mechanism, revealing a hidden magic circle and a staircase leading deep underground. Excited to find the true gift from his master, Liam headed down into the secret chamber. Liam found a small door at the bottom of the stairs. Inside, he saw a stone platform with a letter and a magic book. The letter was from his master, Raymond, who praised him for mastering the item box. Raymond explained that this book held a top-tier spell he could never use himself because he wasn't strong enough. Liam took the book and started practicing immediately. He focused on the energy in his body, following every step carefully. Even though it was hard, he didn't give up. When it got dark, he summoned a small light spirit called a wisp to help him see. After 12 hours of non-stop practice, a glowing door finally appeared. Liam stepped through the door and found himself in a small, pure white room. This was another world magic, a private space in a different dimension. It was safe and nothing inside would ever disappear. Liam realized he could use this as a secret base that no one could enter without his permission. He spent the next month practicing until he could open the door in just 10 minutes. Later, Liam and Asuna went on an A-rank mission to hunt a giant frog with skin as hard as rock. Fire spirits didn't do much, so Liam used ice spears to stun it while Asuna stabbed it in the forehead. The monster got angry and started swelling up to release a massive electric shock that could hit everything within 100 meters. Instead of running, Liam opened the door to his another world and pulled Asuna inside. They watched safely from the white room as the frog fried everything around it. Once the monster was out of energy and weak, they jumped back out and finished it off. The guild master was shocked they finished the job so fast. However, Asuna felt bad because she thought Liam was doing all the hard work. To help her get stronger, the guild master suggested a familiar contract. This would link her to Liam, making her his official partner and boosting her powers based on his strength. Asuna trusted Liam completely and agreed. During the ceremony, a magic circle appeared as she knelt and kissed the back of his hand. As soon as the contract was finished, something amazing happened. Asuna's appearance changed, and she became much more beautiful. She also unlocked a rare skill called Speedster, which let her move so fast she seemed to vanish. The guild master realized that Liam's magic was so powerful, it had actually evolved Asuna into a better version of herself. The next day, Asuna showed up with 3 love letters from random guys. She was confused by all the attention because she didn't have a mirror at home to see how much prettier she had become. Asuna explained that mirrors are luxury items for commoners, which is why she hadn't noticed how much more beautiful she had become after the contract. Liam realized that the magic forces the body to reach its peak condition to handle new skills. Curious to see if this effect worked on others, Liam asked Asuna if she knew anyone who could benefit from a contract. Asuna led Liam to a small house on the outskirts of town to meet Jody, a veteran hunter who had mentored her. Jody was a kind, intelligent woman in her 40s. After Asuna explained the benefits, Jody agreed to try the contract. They headed to the Hunters Guild, where the guild master performed the ceremony. When the magical light faded, the entire guild was in shock. Jody had undergone an incredible rejuvenation, transforming from a middle-aged woman back into a beautiful teenage girl. The guild master was floored by the sheer amount of magical power Liam possessed to cause such a change. Jody soon discovered she had also gained a unique skill. Any food she cooked now had powerful healing properties. She proved this by feeding a sandwich to an injured hunter whose deep wounds vanished instantly. Rumors of Liam's miraculous powers spread quickly, eventually reaching the ears of the first princess, Scarlet Shelley Jamal. James, the noble who had knighted Liam, summoned him to the mansion to deliver the news. James revealed that he had been observing Liam's behavior and had reported his achievements to the royal family. He told Liam that the princess was coming specifically to see his familiars and his unique magic. Liam was hesitant. He told James that his companions were comrades, not a circus act, and he refused to put them on display just to satisfy someone's curiosity. Little did he know, the princess was already in the room, disguised as a maid. She was impressed by Liam's integrity and his lack of arrogance despite his new status. A few days later, a formal ceremony was held. Princess Scarlet officially appeared in all her royal authority, surrounded by soldiers. During the audience, Liam stood his ground again, repeating that he wouldn't use his friends as a spectacle. Instead of getting angry, the princess laughed, delighted by his honesty. She rewarded him by promoting him to the rank of baron and gifted him a rare grimoire on familia magic. Liam was so excited about the book that he barely cared about the noble title, which amused the princess even more. Liam immediately began practicing the new contract magic in the woods. While training, his brother Bruno visited him. Bruno pointed out a funny irony. Because Liam earned his title through his own merit, he was now technically a first-generation noble. In their kingdom, self-made nobles are often respected more than those who simply inherit their titles, meaning Liam now held more social weight than his own father. The next morning, Liam runs into his brother Albrevit in the hallway. Albrevit looks exhausted and miserable, likely because Liam has now surpassed their father in rank. He brushes past Liam with a bitter warning to just wait and see, clearly planning something to reclaim his pride. Liam meets Asuna and Jody at a cafe, where their enhanced beauty draws a crowd of staring men. Jody officially addresses Liam as master due to their contract, though he feels awkward and asks her to just use his name. Both women openly express their admiration for him, making the other men in the cafe even more jealous. Liam decides it's time to officially form a party, and they agree to continue hunting together steadily. Despite his new noble title, Liam insists on not rushing into dangerous missions beyond their current level. They head out to hunt wild dogs. During the hunt, Jody notices her eyesight has improved immensely, which is vital for an archer. To help her further, Liam casts a basic enhancement spell on her eyes. The effect is incredible. Jody can now see targets perfectly from over 100 meters away. She proves her new skill by shooting an arrow through a fist-sized gap between 2 distant rocks. Both women are thrilled with how Liam's magic is making them stronger. When they return to the guild, they find the town in a panic. It turns out Albrevit tried to outdo Liam by breaking the seal on a legendary monster that even their ancestors struggled with. Liam rushes to the forest and finds the area devastated, with hunters lying wounded everywhere. He sees Albrecht on a stretcher, still trying to act tough despite his injuries, until the guild master knocks him out with a stick to stop his nonsense. The guild master explains that Albrecht accidentally released the demon dragon Ladon. While the dragon is currently weak from being sealed, 3 of its offspring, Ladon Juniors, are guarding it and preventing mages from resealing the beast. These small dragons are incredibly powerful, breathing black flames that char everything instantly. Asuna tries to attack but is nearly caught in the flames, and Liam's strongest offensive spells are easily neutralized by the dragon's roars. Realizing they can't win a direct fight, Liam tells Asuna to take Jody and run. He then uses his Another World grimoire to summon the door to his private dimension right in front of the lunging dragons. They jump into the White Room, and Liam immediately cancels the spell. Because he hasn't mastered the magic yet, anything inside the dimension is completely erased when the spell ends. The 3 dragons vanish instantly. While the mages work to reseal the massive, immobile demon dragon, the dragon suddenly speaks directly into Liam's mind. It recognizes that Liam's soul and body are not in balance, sensing his reincarnation. The dragon is intrigued by Liam's great soul and offers him a deal. Instead of being sealed away again, it wants to join Liam to see how his life unfolds. In exchange, the dragon offers to double Liam's magical power permanently. Liam realizes that as he grows stronger through his own efforts, this boost will make his potential truly limitless. Liam decided to trust his gut and accepted the demon dragon Ladon's offer. As soon as he agreed, a blinding light filled the area. To the shock of the onlookers, the dragon's massive body began to thin out and melt directly into Liam's own body. When the light faded, the dragon was gone, replaced by a dragon-shaped mark on the back of Liam's right hand. Liam could feel the massive surge of power inside him. To test it out, he fired a series of magic missiles into the sky. Without even trying, he launched 11 shots at once, and with a bit of focus, he increased that to 17. He realized that Ladon wasn't just giving him a flat boost. The dragon's power acted as a multiplier, doubling the results of all his training and effort. While Liam was excited, everyone else, including the guild master and the elite mages, was trembling in fear. The magical pressure leaking from Liam was so intense it made them feel like they were about to die. Only Asuna and Jody were fine, likely because their familiar contracts protected them. Following a mental tip from Ladon, Liam visualized pulling his energy back inside, and the atmosphere immediately returned to normal. Grateful for the help, the guild master praised Liam for ending a threat that had lasted decades. Liam felt bad about the chaos caused by his brother Albrecht, so he pulled 10 kilograms of gold dust from his item box and gave it to the guild to compensate the injured hunters. This selfless act earned him the deep respect of every hunter present, many of whom started wishing Liam was their actual boss instead of the reckless Albrecht. Back at home, Liam met with his father. Because Liam was now a baron, they met in the guest lounge as equals rather than in a study as father and son. His father thanked him for cleaning up the mess and confirmed that Albrecht was under house arrest and might even be disinherited. He also mentioned that Princess Scarlet's representative, James, was still in town to arrange an official award for the dragon slaying. That night, Liam had a vivid dream about using the dragon mark on his hand as a magical tool. The next morning, he rushed to the woods to practice. He discovered that the mark worked just like a high-level grimoire, feeding 2 complex spells directly into his mind. After nearly a day of intense focus, he successfully cast a summoning spell. A Ladon Jr., the size of a medium dog, appeared, acting as loyal and cute as a pet. Suddenly, Princess Scarlet appeared in the wood. She was stunned to see the summon, identifying it as sacred magic. She explained that such magic is incredibly rare, far rarer than even ice or fire magic. She officially awarded Liam the Order of the Phoenix, 3rd class, explaining that the public needed a hero to believe in so they would feel safe again. Liam told her the full story of how he defeated the dragons and how Ladon was now living inside him. The princess became very serious, realizing that a human controlling a demon dragon's power through sacred magic was a world-changing event. She strictly ordered Liam to keep the dragon's cooperation a secret from everyone. The next day, the princess's men delivered 3 treasure chests filled with 3,000 gold coins to Liam's house. Liam realized this wasn't just a reward. It was hush money to ensure he stayed quiet about the true nature of his power. Later, James called Liam over and revealed he had already guessed the truth. He pointed out that the princess paying such a huge sum out of her own pocket, rather than waiting for the king, was a dead giveaway that something major was being hidden. Seeing no point in lying to a veteran like James, Liam showed him the mark and successfully demonstrated his new sacred magic. Liam demonstrated his all-clear sacred magic to James, explaining that it can cure any status ailment or poison. James was deeply impressed, noting that such power is legendary. He shared a myth about 3 ancient dragons that fought until one used divine magic to win, eventually merging with humans to found their kingdom. James pointed out the parallel. By merging with the demon dragon Ladon, Liam is essentially recreating the nation's founding legend. This realization made the situation much heavier. James warned that the Hamilton family might face trouble for sealing away a being that was essentially a national ancestor, but he was more worried about whether Ladon was angry. Liam checked within and confirmed the dragon didn't care about human politics. He was simply interested in watching Liam's life unfold. After leaving James, Liam headed to the guild to meet Asuna and Jody for work. He has started practicing his summoning magic constantly while moving, keeping a Ladon Jr. active at all times to master the long casting process. When he arrived, he found the guild in an uproar. A crowd of hunters was desperate to join Liam's party after hearing he defeated the dragon. Asuna and Jody had to pull him away from the greedy crowd, handing him a list of nearly 20 applicants. Liam was stunned as he had never been popular before. Returning to the mansion, Liam found another surprise, a mountain of marriage proposals from high-ranking dukes and marquises. His brother Bruno arrived with even more files, explaining that powerful nobles had become suspicious after Princess Scarlet paid Liam a massive reward out of her own pocket. They sensed Liam possessed a world-changing secret and wanted to tie their families to him. Liam realized he was now being chased by people who knew the truth and those who didn't, all wanting a piece of his success. Seeking a quiet place to train, Liam headed to the forest and finally mastered the Another World grimoire. Previously, items left in the dimension would disappear, but now the space was permanent and had expanded to 20 square meters. To make the most of this, Liam visited a local carpenter named Darrell and paid him 500 gold coins to build a simple, fully furnished house in just 3 days. Once it was finished, Liam used his item box to shrink the house and then placed it inside his Another World dimension. He successfully created a portable, unhackable home that he could access from anywhere in the world. Liam invited Asuna and Jody into this private dimension to show them their new headquarters. The women were blown away by the convenience of having a house they could enter from any location. However, Jody noticed a problem. The white dimension had no sun or moon, meaning it was always the same level of brightness, which would make sleeping difficult. Liam quickly solved this by summoning a dark spirit, Shade, to cover the area in darkness, and a fire spirit, Salamander, to provide cozy light. Sitting by the newly lit fireplace, the trio felt a sense of peace, ready to use their secret base for their future adventures. The three of them relaxed by the fireplace in the private dimension. Asuna and Jody were thrilled to have a safe place to sleep without worrying about bugs or exhaustion from camping. Jody noticed the room was a bit too bright for sleeping, but when Liam asked the spirit Shade to adjust the light, it couldn't do it. Shade explained that as a lower-level spirit, it could only create total darkness. Liam realized he needed intermediate spirits for better control. He decided to use his Familia contract magic on Shade. Even though spirits are already obedient, the contract forced Shade to evolve into an intermediate spirit. Shade's voice became intelligent and polite, and it immediately adjusted the light to a natural, cozy nighttime level. Asuna and Jody were amazed to see a spirit evolve right before their eyes. Liam then pulled 2,000 gold coins from his item box and offered them to the women. He explained that Princess Scarlet had given him 3,000 coins as hush money regarding the demon dragon Ladon. Since they were a team, he wanted to split it 3 ways. Asuna and Jody were hesitant at first but eventually agreed, though they asked Liam to keep the money in his item box for safety, fearing they would be robbed if they kept such a fortune at their homes. After they left, Liam stayed in the house to practice his new magic. While training, the voice of the dragon Ladon echoed in his mind. Ladon was genuinely impressed that Liam could evolve spirits and asked him for a favor. The next day, Liam headed to the forest where Ladon had once been sealed. Following the dragon's directions, he summoned a Ladon Jr., which acted as a key to reveal a hidden area. The scenery distorted and exploded, revealing a secret village of Pixie. These tiny, glowing fairies were terrified of Liam at first, but they calmed down when they saw him carrying a Ladon Jr. Liam explained that Ladon had protected them with a barrier, but now that the dragon was gone, Liam was taking over that responsibility. The Pixies were fragile and often hunted by humans for their valuable wings. To make them stronger, Liam began performing contracts with them. As he gave each Pixie a name and cast his magic, they underwent a massive evolution, transforming from tiny spirits into full-grown, beautiful elves. Ladon explained that naming a nameless being adds a massive boost to contract magic, though it drains more energy. Liam continued the process until he had turned the entire tribe into elves, though he struggled to come up with enough names for all of them. The elves were overjoyed and immediately pledged their loyalty to Liam, naming Riene as their village chief. When Liam told them to build a village, he realized they had no idea how to construct proper homes. They were just stacking branches and grass. While he was trying to figure out how to help them, a scream rang out. Liam rushed toward the sound and found a group of hyena adventurers scavengers who loot battlefields, holding an elf named Susie captive. They were planning to sell her or worse. Liam didn't waste time talking. He unleashed 17 simultaneous magic missiles, instantly taking down one man. When the others attacked, Liam used a summoning spell to create a clone of himself. Both Liams fired a massive barrage of 34 magic missiles at once, completely overwhelming the scavengers and leaving them convulsing on the ground. The elves watched in awe as Liam stood over the defeated men. Realizing this forest was no longer safe for his new follower, Liam realized that leaving the elves in their original forest was too dangerous since they are hunted for money in slave market. To keep them safe, he opened his private dimension and ushered the entire tribe inside. He then returned to the Hamilton estate and released them in a secluded part of the woods. The elves were stunned by the sudden change in scenery, feeling as though they had been teleported instantly. Grateful for their rescue, the elves huddled together to discuss their future. They eventually turned to Liam and bowed low, begging him to become their king and leader. Liam felt awkward about the title of king, knowing it could cause political trouble with other nobles, but he accepted the role of their leader. He promised to find them a permanent home where they could build a proper village, as the Hamilton family land was only a temporary solution. For the next 4 days, Liam practiced a new high-level spell, teleportation. This advanced divine magic was incredibly difficult, but Liam's persistence impressed the dragon Ladon, who watched from within his mind. By using his unique ability to cast 19 spells at once, Liam compressed months of training into a few days. He also created magical crystals to instantly refill his energy, allowing him to practice without breaks. Within a single day of intense repetition, he mastered the spell, reducing the casting time from a full day to a split second. Once he mastered teleportation, Liam used it to bring the elves to a remote, sealed land located 100 kilometers away. Following Ladon's instructions, Liam held his hand over a massive cliff. The dragon mark on his hand glowed and shattered the space in front of him, revealing a hidden, fertile paradise filled with forests and meadows. Ladon explained that this was a land he had sealed away long ago, and told Liam he could even start his own country there if he wanted. The elves were overjoyed by their new home, but they quickly realized there was no water nearby. Liam solved this by summoning a water spirit and evolving it into an intermediate spirit named Celsius. With a single wave of her hand, Celsius created a massive fountain that turned into a flowing stream for the village. Before leaving the elves to settle in, Liam summoned 3 Ladon Juniors to act as guardians. Although they looked small, Liam demonstrated their power by having one slam its paw into the ground, causing a massive tremor. He assured the elves that these 3 creatures alone could defeat an entire guild of hunters. With the village safe, Liam teleported back to the city. He headed straight to the Carpenters Guild, planning to hire professionals to build proper houses for the elves instead of the flimsy huts they were used to making. Liam met with the head of the Carpenters Guild to hire workers for his new village, but the guild master explained that skilled carpenters were unwilling to leave their established lives in the city. Just as Liam left the guild feeling stuck, a messenger arrived from Princess Scarlet, summoning him immediately. He met the princess at James's mansion, where she asked if the dragon Ladon had mentioned a promised land. Liam realized she was referring to the fertile territory he had recently unsealed. To show her, he used his mastered teleportation magic to instantly transport them both to the site. Scarlet was stunned by his use of high-level divine magic and even more shocked to see the land. She identified the area as Galler Valley, a place legend says the dragon sealed away to create a paradise for humanity's final days. Liam explained that he wanted to develop the land for the elves but couldn't find a builder. Scarlet suggested he use magic to solve the problem and introduced him to Gorak, a dwarf and the kingdom's top court engineer. Gorak was busy and grumpy, so Liam used his contract summoning to create a magical clone of the dwarf. While the real Gorak stayed in the city to work for the king, his skilled phantom went to the sealed land to lead the elves in building a proper city. While the construction began, Scarlet became visibly nervous. She asked if this was truly the promised land from the legend. Through Liam, Ladon cryptically answered that while he hadn't made any formal promises to humans, he didn't deny the legends either. Encouraged, Scarlet revealed that her own family carried dragon blood, which is why she felt a divine pull to serve Ladon and Liam. She pledged her full loyalty to Liam, calling him the Lord of the Promised Land. As they explored the territory, Liam practiced his combat magic, easily taking down a massive armored monster called a croco turtle by flipping it over with magic missiles and piercing its belly with a spear of light. Scarlet was captivated by his growing power. She asked Liam to stop calling her Your Highness and treat her as his subordinate, though Liam still felt awkward about his sudden rise in status. Ladon then guided them to a hidden underground ruin. Inside, they found a massive mechanical dragon made of iron, a guardian modeled after Ladon himself. The dragon instructed Liam to defeat the machine by erasing the third character of the ancient inscription on its forehead. Using teleportation to close the gap, Liam struck the specific mark with a spear of light. Instead of being destroyed, the Iron Guardian transformed. It sensed the dragon blood within Scarlet and knelt before her in total submission. Ladon confirmed that the Guardian had recognized her lineage, effectively giving Liam and Scarlet a powerful, ancient protector for their new country. Liam said goodbye to Scarlet, leaving her in the underground cavern so the Guardian Ladon could finish its self-repair. He teleported back to the construction site, only to find the new village under attack. Buildings were on fire and parts of the framework were destroyed. He rushed toward a scream and found a werewolf attacking an elf. Liam blasted the monster with a magic missile and caught the elf before she hit the ground. To keep the elves safe, he sent them into his other world dimension. Liam spent the next few hours hunting down the invaders. After taking out about 10 werewolves, he was ambushed by a much stronger one. This werewolf was fast and strong enough to tear through buildings with its claws, claiming the land was a sacred place and ordering Liam to leave. Liam tried to talk, but the werewolf attacked. Liam used teleportation to get behind the beast and took it down with a lightning spell. To settle the conflict, Liam summoned Ladon Jr. The werewolf leader immediately recognized the dragon's spirit and realized Liam was connected to the divine dragon they serve. It turned out these werewolves were guardians of the valley. Liam healed everyone and gathered the two groups. The werewolf leader, a girl named Chris, apologized for the attack. Since both the elves and the werewolves followed Ladon, they decided to join forces. Liam made a familiar contract with the werewolves, causing them to evolve into more human-like forms with increased strength and speed. With the werewolves' physical power and the elves' craftsmanship, the village construction moved faster than ever. Chris, now a beautiful girl with wolf ears and a tail, became Liam's loyal and energetic follower. Seeing the ruins of the houses they had destroyed during the fight, Liam felt bad for the elves' hard work. He asked Ladon if he could fix the buildings with magic. Ladon told him that if the magic didn't exist, he should create it. By visualizing the process and the result, Liam successfully invented a new spell called Sheep Memory. This magic allowed inanimate objects to remember their original form and automatically repair themselves if broken. Ladon was impressed by how quickly Liam mastered the concept of creating magic from scratch. Driven by this success, Liam decided to solve another problem, turning seawater into fresh water. He struggled at first because he couldn't visualize the separation clearly. Ladon gave him a hint about cause and effect. Liam summoned Celsius, an intermediate water spirit, to watch how a spirit naturally separates water and salt. By comparing the raw material to the finished result, Liam visualized the logic and created a second original spell called Distillery. Finally, he applied the same logic to his combat magic, upgrading his basic magic missile into a much more powerful version he named Power Missile. With these three new spells, Liam's control over his world and his power significantly increased. Liam's training and magic development reached a new level. Using the concept of cause and effect, he mastered Power Missile, a vastly stronger version of his basic attack. Ladon, the dragon's spirit within him, encouraged Liam to continue developing his own magic and suggested that building a nation would be the best way to gain real-world experience. Liam took it a step further, realizing he could create magic from absolute nothingness, a feat that deeply amused and impressed Ladon. Returning from his private training dimension, Liam was met by Riene, the elf leader. She informed him that a group of pixies had arrived seeking protection after their village was attacked by human soldiers. Liam agreed to protect them and formed a contract with all 100 pixies, giving them names and evolving them into elves. This instantly doubled the village's population. Liam headed out to investigate the attackers and encountered a unit of 100 professional cavalrymen from the Duchy of Parda. When their leader dismissed Liam as a child playing at being a king, Liam didn't hesitate. He unleashed 17 power missiles at once, wiping out the front line. When the rest charged, Liam used teleportation and point-blank magic to neutralize the entire unit in seconds. He spared their lives but gave them a stern warning. This was his land, and any trespassers would be dealt with by force. Back at the village, Princess Scarlet and the guardian Ladon, the mechanical dragon, had finished their repairs. Liam gathered his leaders, Scarlet, Riene, and the werewolf girl Chris, to discuss the situation. Scarlet identified the attacker's emblem and warned that the neighboring kingdoms of Jamal, Quistador, and Parda would all likely try to seize this promised land. To protect his people, Liam officially decided to establish a new nation. He put Chris and her werewolves in charge of the defense force, as their combat instincts were perfect for war. The next day, a high-ranking nobleman named Leonardo Berkeley arrived from the kingdom of Jamal. Unlike the Parda soldiers, he came in peace, claiming his king wanted an alliance rather than a war. He offered a massive diplomatic gift, the hand of the first princess, Scarlet, in marriage. Both Liam and Scarlet were shocked. Liam realized that Jamal had likely figured out his connection to the divine dragon through Scarlet's previous investigations. To discuss the deal privately, Liam instantly invented a telepathy spell to speak into Scarlet's mind. Scarlet advised him to accept, explaining that a royal engagement would freeze any hostile moves from other kingdoms for at least 6 months while they tried to figure out Jamal's true intentions. Liam agreed to the proposal but added a condition. The wedding would happen in 1 year, giving him time to properly build his kingdom. Leonardo accepted the terms and departed. Ladon pointed out that this was a double-edged sword. While Liam was buying time to grow stronger, the kingdom of Jamal was also using that time to observe and reevaluate just how dangerous Liam really was. With a temporary peace secured, Liam turned his focus back to the rapid construction of his new home. With the help of the elves, werewolves, and the dwarf phantom, the village construction was moving faster than ever. Most of the main buildings were almost finished. While things were busy at the site, Liam used his teleportation trick to visit Princess Scarlet at her fancy mansion in the capital. While they were talking, Liam felt a strange energy that reminded him of the dragon's spirit, Ladon. Scarlet led him to a special room to show him a golden dragon statue that had been in her family for generations. Ladon recognized the statue and told Liam to use a healing spell on it. As soon as the magic hit the statue, it broke apart and turned into a set of golden armor that wrapped around Scarlet. She felt a huge rush of power and fired a blast of light at the wall, but the armor drained her energy so fast that she collapsed immediately. Ladon explained that this was magical battle armor, an ancient weapon that was very hard for normal humans to handle. Liam decided to make a better version that Scarlet could actually use. He had her buy a large amount of expensive high mithril silver from the city's merchants. Using his spirits to melt the metal, Liam crafted a perfect, lifelike dragon statue. To make it even better, he used a familia contract to turn the armor into a living magical servant, naming it Ares. When Scarlet put on this new armor, it felt light and easy to move in. She could now use her strongest magic multiple times without feeling tired. Seeing how well it worked, Liam decided to try the same thing with the giant mechanical dragon, Guardian Ladon. He made a contract with the massive machine, and it suddenly shrank down, wrapping around his body like a suit of heavy armor. The boost in power was incredible, and Liam felt like he could fire dozens of massive magic missiles at once. However, the armor was so powerful that it drained almost all of his mana in seconds. He realized he wasn't ready to use this dragon armor for long fights yet, so he stored the mechanical dragon in his magical pocket for later. After sending Scarlet back to her mansion to handle some royal business, Liam returned to the village. Riene, the elf leader, met him with some news about a new threat. A pack of trolls was living nearby. These giants were known for being very big, strong, and extremely violent. Riene was worried that if they didn't deal with them soon, the trolls would eventually attack the village or cause trouble with the neighboring human. Liam knew he couldn't leave a dangerous group like that so close to his people, so he decided to head out and bring the trolls under his control. Liam followed Riene's directions and headed east. The lush grasslands soon turned into a rocky wasteland. Liam picked up a stone and broke it open, realizing the ground was actually full of high-quality iron ore. This land was a gold mine of untapped resources. Suddenly, Liam was surrounded by 30 massive giants trolls. They stood nearly 3 meters tall, pure muscle and raw power. Their leader, a troll with mineral-like spikes growing out of his skin, stepped forward. He was suspicious of humans, but Liam stood his ground, explaining he was building a new nation and wanted them to join. The troll boss wasn't interested and attacked, swinging a massive club that smashed craters into the earth. Liam dodged the heavy blows until his foot got caught in a crack in the ground. The troll boss saw his chance and delivered a devastating, deadly strike. Just before the club hit him, Liam summoned his mechanical dragon armor for a split second. The blow sent him 10 meters deep into the earth, but he climbed out completely unhurt. The troll boss was stunned. Even more impressive was that Liam had used his magic to ensure the debris from the impact didn't hit any of the other trolls. Seeing Liam's combination of overwhelming strength and kindness, the troll boss calmed down and agreed to listen. Liam explained that he wanted to protect them from coming human invasions. The boss decided he wanted to see the village first. Liam used a high-level teleportation spell to bring the entire group back to the construction site instantly. There, they ran into Chris, the werewolf leader. It turned out Chris and the troll boss were old rivals who had fought hundreds of times. Chris, now faster and stronger after her evolution, immediately knocked the giant leader down with a flying kick. Following the pattern of the other tribes, Liam offered a contract to the trolls. He named the leader Guy, and the magic of the familia contract caused him to evolve. Guy transformed from a clumsy giant into a 1.8-meter tall, incredibly muscular man who spoke fluently. He had evolved into a Gigas, a legendary race of powerful warriors. The other 30 trolls evolved as well, becoming a reliable construction and defense force. With the Gigas on board, the village gained a massive supply of iron ore from the wasteland. Liam used his spirits to refine the metal, but he ran into a problem. He didn't have enough high mithril silver to make high-end magical armor for everyone. Ladon, the dragon spirit, told him that ordinary metals weren't strong enough to hold that kind of power. Liam didn't give up. He decided that failure is just a step toward success and tried something new. He forged a suit of armor out of ordinary iron and gave it a soul using the Familia contract, naming it Apollo. To Ladon's surprise, the naming magic worked. By giving the armor a unique name and identity, Liam turned basic iron into functional magical battle armor. He managed to create 15 suits, distributing them among the best fighters of the elves, werewolves, and gigas. The village soon became a training ground. Guy and Chris, both wearing their new iron armor, engaged in a high-speed mock battle. Their power was so intense that the other villagers stopped to watch in awe. With his people now armed with magical gear and led by evolved warriors, Liam's small village was quickly becoming a force that no kingdom could ignore. Liam watched as Chris and Guy continued their intense sparring. Despite their constant arguing, they made a perfect team. Just then, the sound of many horses approaching cut through the air. About 20 bandits arrived, looking at the elves with greed. They openly talked about selling the villagers into slavery for a profit. One bandit stepped forward and demanded they surrender without a fight. Before Liam could act, Renee quietly called for Mina, a young elf girl wearing light magic armor. The bandits laughed, thinking the girl was a peace offering, but Mina charged. With a single punch, she sent the lead man and his horse flying. She moved like a blur, knocking out the entire group in under 3 minutes. While Liam was impressed by the power of his new armor, one bandit who had been hiding grabbed him from behind. He pressed a sword to Liam's neck, threatening to kill the brat. Instead of being scared, Renee, Chris, and Guy simply sighed. Liam casually threw a backfist and fired a power missile, shattering the sword and sending the bandit flying so hard he was knocked out instantly. The remaining bandits were so terrified they began to shake and cry. That night, Liam returned to his private dimension to solve the village's water and salt shortage. He summoned 18 spirits, including Celsius, to help filter seawater. One spirit recognized Liam from a previous encounter and revealed that intermediate spirits could actually possess physical objects indefinitely. This gave Liam a brilliant idea. He gave this spirit a name, Celsius Zero, which caused it to evolve and gain massive power. Liam then forged a special iron statue and had Zero possess it. This created a new, superior version of his magic armor. He gave these spirit-possessed suits to his leaders. The results were incredible. Renee could now summon massive waterfalls that carved craters into the earth. Chris unleashed explosions 10 meters wide, and Guy could crack the ground open with his bare fists. They were now 10 times stronger than before. Ladon, the dragon's spirit, watched with amusement, realizing Liam had accidentally created a military force strong enough to take down an entire nation. Liam later teleported back to the capital to meet his old party members, Asuna and Jody. They were worried about his long absence, but Liam explained he was busy building his own country. Both girls immediately agreed to join him, declaring that as his familiars, they would follow him anywhere. Asuna and Jody had been saving money to buy Liam a gift, a genuine ancient magic book. Liam used his high-speed practice method to master a new spell from the book called Dustbin. Initially, the spell seemed useless. It was just a magical storage space that made items rot or decay almost instantly. However, after seeing a customer spill wine at a bar, Liam had a breakthrough. He realized that rotting is just a faster version of fermentation. He rushed out, bought grapes, and squeezed them into juice. He placed the juice inside the dustbin for 5 minutes. When he took it out, the grape juice had aged into high-quality wine. Liam realized he could now use this magic to instantly produce wine, soy sauce, and other fermented goods, giving his new nation a massive economic advantage. Liam began testing his new dustbin spell and discovered that its rapid aging effect was extremely precise. 1 hour inside the magical space equaled exactly 1 year of fermentation. By leaving grape juice in for 10 hours, he could produce high-quality, 10-year-aged wine instantly. Realizing the massive economic potential, he planned to show this miracle to his associate. To gather more ingredients for his brewing experiments, Liam organized a massive fruit harvest. He led a group of nearly 100 villagers, including the Gigas, giants, and the werewolves, into a nearby forest. The peaceful work was shattered when a scream rang out. Liam rushed to the scene to find a muscular Gigas named Gon being brutally bitten on the neck by a fast, aggressive man. Liam didn't hesitate. He unleashed 17 power missiles, blasting the attacker away and forcing him to flee. However, Gon began acting like a mindless, violent beast. His face turned deathly pale and his eyes became bloodshot. Liam quickly diagnosed it as a status condition and used high-level sacred magic to cure him. Gon immediately calmed down and fell into a peaceful sleep. Jody, drawing on her experience as a hunter, identified the attacker as a vampire. While normal vampires are destroyed by sunlight, Jody warned that a Dracula, a rare superior mutant, can grant vampires immunity to the sun and unite them into an army. This explained why the attacker could move freely during the day. Scouts soon returned with terrifying news. An army of over 10,000 vampires was gathering 10 kilometers to the north. They were absorbing other races like the local orcs by biting them and turning them into mindless servants. Liam realized that if they didn't act fast, the entire region would be overrun. Since any soldier defeated by a vampire would just join their ranks, Liam decided to lead a small, elite strike team consisting of himself, the 3 tribal leaders, and his 2 companions. Before heading out, Liam used his crafting skills to create a secret weapon. Using rare high mithril silver, he forged 5 magical all-clear charm. These one-time use items allowed anyone to cast a high-level purification spell, effectively serving as an insurance policy in case any of his teammates were bitten during the fight. The battle took place in a barren wasteland perfect for open combat. Clad in their spirit-possessed magical armor, Liam's leaders, Riene, Chris, Guy, Asuna, and Jody charged into the horde. They were incredibly efficient. Guy's Gaia Crusher swallowed hundreds of enemies in a single blow, while the others tore through the ranks with magic and speed. Despite killing nearly 1,000 vampires, the enemy numbers didn't seem to drop. Suddenly, a handsome, elegant middle-aged man appeared on the battlefield. The vampires immediately knelt in his presence and their power surged. This was Dracula. He began touching the fallen corpses, and to the horror of the elite team, the dead vampires stood back up, fully revived. Liam realized that as long as Dracula was on the field, the army was immortal. He executed a bold plan. Using high-level teleportation, Liam blinked directly next to Dracula, grabbed him, and teleported again. He transported the Vampire King 100 kilometers away to the forest where Ladon had once been sealed. Dracula looked around, realizing he had been completely isolated from his 10,000 servants. Without his nearby presence to strengthen and revive them, his army was now vulnerable. Furious at being lured into a trap, Dracula glared at Liam, radiating a deadly aura as the two prepared for a final showdown. Dracula laughed at the idea of being defeated, claiming he would never stop until every inferior species was devoured. Liam didn't waste time and fired 19 power missiles at once. To his surprise, Dracula deflected them all with blinding speed and instantly teleported behind Liam, thrusting his claws through Liam's back. Liam reacted in a split second, teleporting 20 meters away to safety. He realized he needed to use multiple spells simultaneously to stand a chance. He chanted a combination of teleport and holy lance, surrounding Dracula with 9 spears of light. The attack was successful. 7 spears pierced the Vampire King, even severing his right arm. However, Liam's victory was short-lived. Dracula's body turned into mist, quickly reforming into his original shape with his arm perfectly reattached. Dracula then turned his entire body into mist and surged toward Liam. Anticipating a teleport, the mist appeared behind Liam and grabbed his shoulders, sinking fangs into his neck. But Liam had used a contract summon to create a phantom clone of himself. The vampire bit the clone instead, turning the phantom into a vampire before Liam canceled the spell, making it vanish. Liam realized that standard brute force was useless because Dracula claimed to be outside the laws of life and death, fueled by the life floating in the air. As long as life existed in the world, he was immortal. Desperate, Liam turned to his newest creation, the Dustbin spell. As Dracula lunged at him again, Liam cast Dustbin, and the magical storage space sucked the Vampire King inside. Since life cannot exist inside the box and time passes rapidly within it, Dracula was trapped in a void with no energy to absorb. Liam waited. After 10 hours of real time, representing 10 years inside the box, the status on his list changed to suspended animation. After 5 days, the entry for Dracula turned completely blank. The Vampire King had vanished from existence. Exhausted but relieved, Liam took a moment to recover. Ladon was impressed, noting that humans usually rely too much on raw power instead of clever solutions. As night fell, Liam teleported back to find his team. While the 10,000 monsters and humans turned by Dracula were no longer under his control, they suddenly began to groan in pain. Their bodies started thinning out into light, beginning to disappear because the source of the magic that sustained them was gone. Liam tried to save a goblin using all clear, and it worked, but he couldn't cast it fast enough to save thousands. He equipped his mechanical dragon armor to double his casting speed, but people were still fading too quickly. Remembering his training on cause and effect, Liam pushed his mana to the absolute limit. He visualized a massive area of effect version of the purification spell. A burst of divine light exploded from his body, covering the entire battlefield. The light pushed out the dark magic and stabilized the thousands of victims, though the effort caused Liam to collapse from mana exhaustion. He woke up an hour later to find Asuna and Jody watching over him. The battlefield was peaceful. The monsters and humans were exhausted but saved. Chris jumped on him in a panic, relieved he was okay. Liam then turned his attention to the original pure vampires who had started the mess. Without Dracula's power, they would be destroyed by the sun the next morning. The vampire leader prostrated himself, offering his own life if Liam would spare the others. Liam told them he wasn't interested in revenge and offered them a place in his new nation. He promised to help them survive the sunlight if they agreed to follow his rules. No defying him and no internal fighting. The vampires agreed, and Liam used a newly invented spell, High Familia, to guide their evolution. He named the leader Alucard, causing him to evolve into a noble vampire capable of walking in the sun. Meanwhile, in a distant mansion, a middle-aged man named Dalton listened to a report about Dracula's defeat. The plan to use the Vampire King as an excuse to send troops had failed. Dalton's focus shifted to the person responsible for ruining his scheme, Liam Hamilton. Despite having no idea how the boy had achieved such a feat, the mysterious noble realized Liam was now a major obstacle that needed to be dealt with. Inside the mansion, Lord Dalton and his assistant watched the battle between Liam and Dracula through a crystal ball. Dalton frowned, calling Liam a monster in human skin and one of the strongest individuals on the continent. Realizing their plan had failed, Dalton ordered his man to keep Liam under surveillance, fearing that such a powerful figure appearing at the turning of an era could either be a hero or a demon lord. Meanwhile, Liam spent an entire day naming his new army of 10,000 monsters. Since they didn't require complex evolution like the vampires, he simply made contracts with them. He eventually ran out of creative names and started using variations of his own name like Liamuru and Liamuga just to finish the task. Exhausted, he was approached by two slimes he named Slarun and Slapon. Having evolved into slime dews, they now had eyes, mouths, and could speak. To show their love, they spat out a perfectly smooth wooden doll of Liam they had shaped inside their bodies. As Liam rested, the new community bustled with activity. The elves handled construction, the Gigas managed patrols, and the werewolves took charge of hunting. Guy, the Gigas leader, interrupted Liam's rest to announce that a human merchant was requesting an audience with the king. Liam was confused as he hadn't officially claimed the title, but Guy shouted to the entire crowd, asking if they recognized Liam as their king. The monsters erupted in cheers of agreement. Suddenly, Ladon manifested as a giant, semi-transparent dragon and officially declared Liam Hamilton the king of this land. Later, Liam visited Scarlet at her mansion. She reported that the king and his ministers were hiding something and refused to withdraw from the land, though she didn't know why. After leaving, Liam sensed Ladon was holding back information. He pressured the dragon, who eventually led him back to the underground cave. By filling the space with his now-enhanced mana, Liam revealed a hidden staircase leading to a massive lower chamber. Ladon explained that dragons, like crows, collect shiny things, in this case, ancient magic and forbidden spells. Liam found a way to read the ancient memories in the room to learn new magic, but there was a catch. Whenever he tried to cast a spell, blue soap bubbles appeared. If they touched him, his magic was instantly cancelled. These bubbles were immune to physical attacks and multiplied if hit by magic. Ladon explained this was a trial to ensure the user didn't just rely on raw power. Instead of struggling, Liam used a clever trick. He summoned an illusion of himself to act as a shield. While the illusion used simultaneous magic to push the bubbles away, the real Liam spent an hour focusing on the complex ancient script. He successfully mastered a new spell, Absolute Force Shield. Back on the surface, Liam tested the spell with his illusion. He discovered that the shield is a perfect defense that can block any single physical attack, regardless of its strength. It could stop a falling boulder just as easily as a pebble. However, it only works for one hit before shattering and offers zero protection against magic. Liam realized that by using his ability to cast 19 spells at once, he could rapidly layer these shields to become virtually untouchable by physical force. Liam quickly mastered the Absolute Magic Shield, a spell that acts as a perfect defense against magical attacks. He realized that to use these new shields effectively, he needed to train his senses to instantly tell if an incoming attack was physical or magical. He spent time practicing until he could distinguish the nature of any moving object at a glance. Returning to his village, Liam was met by Asuna, who told him that Guy, the giant leader, was urgently looking for him. Liam teleported to a nearby grassland where he found Guy and his warriors surrounding a fancy carriage from the Duchy of Palta. A man named X-Blast introduced himself as an envoy and proposed a marriage between Liam and Princess Flora to secure an alliance. The situation took a dark turn when Princess Flora stepped out of the carriage. Liam sensed a massive surge of magic and instinctively cast his new Absolute Magic Shield. A suicide element, an artificial monster designed to explode, appeared next to the princess and detonated. The blast was huge, leaving a crater and knocking out the soldiers, but Liam's shield saved Flora's life. X-Blast vanished during the chaos. Liam called for Scarlet to help investigate. She revealed that Flora was actually an unacknowledged child of the Grand Duke, used here as a pawn. Scarlet explained the duchy's plan. They wanted to marry the princess off to the land of monsters, have her killed by an accidental explosion, and then use her death as an excuse to declare war and invade. Flora, terrified, tried to push Liam away, showing him black veins on her wrist. She had been cursed with a ghoul liquid that would transform her into a monster, ensuring that even if she survived the blast, she would become a threat that had to be killed. Liam calmly used his all-clear spell, instantly purifying the curse and healing her. Ladon pointed out that this curse was similar to the magic used by Dracula, suggesting the duchy might have been involved in that incident as well. Liam promised to protect Flora and invited her to stay in his territory. Later, Scarlet advised Liam that the surrounding kingdoms were looking down on him and he needed to demonstrate his authority. Instead of starting a war, she suggested a different kind of power move, issuing his own currency. Liam used his magic to instantly create high-quality iron roses to serve as a prototype. Scarlet explained the importance of quality control by showing him various Jamal silver coins. She pointed out that while the original royal coins were crisp, the ones in general circulation were blurry and lower quality because they were mass-produced from old molds at various mines. By creating a currency that was impossible to fake, Liam could establish economic dominance over the region. Liam decided to move forward with issuing his own currency. Scarlet explained that the clarity and metal content of a coin are symbols of a country's strength. While the Jamal Kingdom's coins were often blurry and low quality due to overused molds, Liam used his magic to create silver coins with perfect detail. He sent Asuna and Jody to a money exchange guild in a nearby town to test their value. The guild master was stunned, noting that Liam's coins surpassed the local currency in every way. He valued them at 3 times the rate of a Jamal silver coin. Next, Liam worked on copper coins. Scarlet explained that most kingdoms mix copper with tin to prevent people from melting the coins down for profit, but this usually makes the designs blurry. Liam ignored the standard 65% copper ratio and used his magic to create a 50% bronze alloy that remained perfectly clear and had a unique silvery white color. Scarlet was amazed, realizing Liam was likely the only person capable of mass-producing such high-quality coins with that specific mixture. As Liam worked, he received a letter from his eldest brother, Albravit, via the Hunters Guild. The letter was arrogant, demanding that Liam meet him to discuss a deal regarding the new monster city. Scarlet was furious at the disrespect, noting that Albravit was likely acting on his own to fix his previous failures. On her advice, Liam decided to ignore the demand, as there was no reason to entertain someone who treated him with such entitlement. The following day, Liam's other brother, Bruno, arrived at the town. Unlike Albravit, Bruno was humble and genuinely impressed by the city Liam had built. Because Liam's home was still a simple building connected to another world, Scarlet offered her mansion for their meeting. Inside, Bruno shocked Liam by bowing deeply and formally requesting permission to do business in the territory. He recognized that Liam's land would soon become a major trade hub and wanted to coordinate as the head of his own small house. Liam consulted Scarlet via telepathy during the meeting. She advised him that a king must reward those who are friendly and punish those who are disrespectful. Following this, Liam gave Bruno preferential treatment for his business ventures while remaining cold toward the rest of the Hamilton family. After Bruno left, Scarlet and the dragon Ladon both praised him, noting how much he had matured. They observed that his new responsibilities as a leader had turned him into a shrewd and respectable man, far different from the cynical teenager Liam remembered. Liam realized that while his magic was strong, it wouldn't be enough against smart enemies who might find ways to seal his powers or attack him while he's vulnerable. He spent his time in the expanded space of his alternate world practicing and thinking. Ladon, appearing for the first time in the form of a 10-year-old girl, explained that he needed to learn how to use magic to strengthen his physical body from the inside, much like a vampire does, rather than just casting spells outwardly. Ladon began a tough training session using magical soap bubbles that stuck to Liam's limbs and head. She forced him to precisely distribute his mana, for example, putting exactly 20% into each part of his body within a strict 10-second countdown. If he messed up the ratio or the total amount of energy shifted even slightly, the bubbles would pop. Liam failed repeatedly at first, but his obsession with mastering magic kept him going. He realized that if he could perfectly control his mana flow, he could eventually fire dozens of spells with different power levels simultaneously, making his attacks impossible to predict or block. The training moved to a magical tug-of-war. Ladon created a rope of light and challenged Liam to match her strength. He had to sense her mana levels through the rope and adjust his own instantly to maintain a perfect draw. Eventually, Ladon made it even harder by hiding the energy flow, forcing Liam to read her mana through the air itself. Through this, Liam developed a sixth sense for magical energy. He discovered that Ladon had purposefully limited her own power to match his exactly, proving that his progress wasn't about getting more energy, but about how he used what he already had. By the end of the session, Liam's efficiency had improved so much that he tried to cast his usual 19 simultaneous spells, and was shocked to see 29 projectiles fly out instead. Even though his total mana pool stayed the same, his refined control allowed him to waste less energy and push his limits further. Ladon praised him, noting that because he had taught himself magic from books without a proper teacher, he had been using it very inefficiently until now. With these new skills, his combat power effectively jumped by 2 ranks, making him far more dangerous than before. Ladon explained that magic isn't just about raw power or technique, but a balance of both hardness and softness working together. He pointed out that humans often obsess over technique because they are physically weaker, but Liam had already mastered brute force. By adding efficiency to his massive mana pool, Liam had achieved a perfect blend of strength and skill. Stepping out of his training dimension, Liam found Scarlet at the city gates looking troubled. She revealed that her mother's home region, the Iji territory in the Jamal Kingdom, was suffering from a devastating drought. Liam immediately offered to help. Although they were technically in a different country, he saw it as a chance to build good relations. He planned to use his item box and teleportation to transport massive amounts of seawater, which he would then purify into fresh water. Ladon praised this move, noting that while Liam had used his new currency to show off his power, the hard approach, providing disaster relief was the soft approach. It proved that his power could be used for cooperation, not just intimidation. However, Ladon warned that human pride often leads leaders to make foolish choices, and they might reject a debt they can't repay. Ladon's prediction came true. Scarlet returned with news that the Jamal Kingdom had officially rejected the help, arrogantly claiming they could handle the crisis themselves, even though people were dying of thirst. Liam didn't give up. He met with his brother Bruno, who was still in town. Since Bruno was a Jamal noble, Liam proposed a secret deal. He would sell millions of liters of water to Bruno for a tiny, symbolic fee. This allowed Bruno to take the credit for the relief effort, bypassing the king's pride while still saving the people of Iji. To pull this off without being caught by the Jamal spies watching the city, Liam came up with a clever plan. He summoned a phantom of himself. He discovered that these illusions are exact copies of his current state. He used his High Familia spell to evolve the phantom into the form of Amelia, a famous diva he remembered. This female illusion had all of Liam's magical power, and could use teleport and item box to deliver the water to Bruno. While the Amelia Phantom went to handle the water delivery, the real Liam stayed in the village to act as an alibi. While walking through the muddy streets, he was greeted by his slimes, Slarun and Slapon. Seeing them get covered in mud gave Liam his next project. He realized that for his city to become a true trade hub, he needed better infrastructure. Following Ladon's advice on construction, he decided to start paving the roads with stone and brick to ensure that carriages would never get stuck in the mud again. Liam began his next major project, building high-quality roads to turn his city into a trade hub. He ordered the Gigas to crush massive boulders into gravel while he summoned earth spirits, known as gnomes, to dig deep trenches. When the gnomes dug a trench a meter deep, Ladon pointed out that such a thick foundation was usually reserved for royal victory roads. Using fire spirits, Liam melted the gravel into a solid stone path that was incredibly durable and smooth. While working, Liam realized that building roads within the city wasn't enough. The trade routes connecting to other nations were even more vital. He remembered a story of a merchant whose wagon got stuck in a simple pothole, nearly ruining his livelihood. Determined to prevent this, Liam extended his stone paving project outside the city walls. During a lunch break brought by the slimes Slarun and Slapon, Liam noticed a flaw in his design. Because he had made the roads perfectly flat, water wouldn't drain properly, leading to puddles and wear. He immediately used his magic to reshape the surface with a slight curve, ensuring water would flow to the sides. Ladon was impressed by his attention to detail. To maintain his alibi for the spies watching him, Liam stayed outside at night to continue the work. He used this time to practice a new form of training, sleeping while balancing on a single thin rope tied between trees. By precisely distributing his mana to different parts of his body to maintain balance, he turned his rest into a high-level magic exercise. This forced him to react to unpredictable factors like the wind, further sharpening his control. Through this training, Liam's magical senses evolved. He realized he could now hear the unique magical wavelengths of people around him. He discovered that he was being watched not just by the Jamal Kingdom, but also by spies from the nations of Palta and Quistador. Each group had a distinct magical signature based on their homeland's environment and food. Liam consulted Scarlet about the military strength of these 3 nations. She warned him that if they all joined forces, they could deploy an army of 100,000 soldiers. While Liam was incredibly powerful, facing such a massive force alone would be a challenge. Scarlett promised to handle the complex diplomacy and politics to keep the enemies at bay while Liam focused on his strength. As Liam continued to refine his sensing abilities, he detected a strange, unfamiliar magical signature that didn't belong to any of the three neighboring countries. Realizing someone else was hiding nearby, he ordered Scarlett and the others to move back for their safety. He summoned 10 gnomes and commanded them to dig straight down into the earth to uncover whatever was hidden beneath the surface. While the gnomes were digging, Liam sensed something special deep underground. He jumped into the hole and discovered a massive deposit of high mithril silver. This was much more than they had ever found before. He realized he could now make magical battle armor for every single soldier in his village. He told Scarlett to spread the word about the discovery. This wasn't just about getting rich. It was a warning to other countries that his army was about to become incredibly powerful. Mining began immediately, but Liam realized that refining the metal by himself would take too long and stop his other projects. Renee mentioned that many villagers were discovering they had magic skills, but they didn't have enough magic books to learn from. Liam had a brilliant idea. Instead of making small books for everyone, he used the silver to turn the city's roads into one giant magic book. He tested it by hiding the ice needle spell under the pavement. When Renee stood on the road, she could suddenly use the spell perfectly without needing a book. Soon, the entire city was paved with these magical memories. Now anyone walking on the streets could cast spells like Fireball or Cyclone to defend the town. Liam didn't stop there. He invented a new spell called Telephone that allowed people to talk to each other across long distances. Since every villager had a magic contract with him, they could all use this voice communication magic easily. Renee was amazed and started calling the place a magic city. Liam also added magic for daily life. He installed magical lights, heaters, and water systems in every house so people wouldn't have to struggle with basic chores. Princess Flora was shocked by this. She had never seen a leader care so much about making life easy for regular people. In her old homes, the royals only cared about their own comfort, but Liam wanted everyone in his city to have a better life. One day, Guy called Liam through the magic telephone. A group of famous dragon riders called Dragoons from the Quistador Kingdom had arrived and wanted to talk. When Liam went to meet them, something strange happened. The dragons, which were usually brave and strong, suddenly got terrified and refused to move. They were so scared of Liam's energy that they just lay on the ground, shaking. The riders were confused and couldn't control their mounts. The leader of the group, a woman named Sheila, realized her dragon was too scared to go further. She jumped off and walked up to Liam. She introduced herself as the 19th Princess of Quistador with a loud, confident laugh. Princess Sheila immediately points her sword at Liam and demands a duel. Liam is confused, but Sheila explains that fighting is the best way for warriors to truly understand each other. She mentions that since they can't exactly get intimate to bond, a fight is the next best thing. More importantly, she reveals that the duel is a test to see if Liam is a worthy ally for her country, Quistador. Realizing this is a chance to secure a powerful alliance, Liam accepts. The fight begins instantly as Sheila disappears with incredible speed. Liam activates his absolute shield, stacking 23 magical and physical layers, but Sheila's strikes are so powerful they shatter his physical defenses immediately. She moves like a blur, attacking from all angles. When she swings a glowing red magic sword, Ladon warns Liam to dodge because the weapon bypasses standard shield. Liam teleports just in time to see the ground melt where he was standing. To counter her speed, Liam releases his mana into the air like a purple mist. This magic mist acts like a sensor. The moment Sheila enters it, Liam can feel her position. By combining his physical movements with the flow of magic, he manages to intercept her attacks perfectly. Impressed by his skill, Sheila laughs and sheathes her sword, declaring him powerful enough to be a chief magician in her kingdom. Liam teleports Sheila and her team to the city's grand guest house. The sudden teleportation shocks her, and she refers to Liam as the Dragon's Crown. Ladon gets grumpy at the title, but confirms it refers to him. Inside the luxurious guest house, Sheila proposes a simple non-aggression pact. Liam is suspicious that there are no hidden catch, but Sheila explains that Quistador has an ancient law never to cross the Dragon's Crown because Ladon nearly destroyed their country a century ago. Ladon advises Liam to accept the alliance to keep his enemies few. As they agree, Sheila asks for the name of Liam's country. Suddenly, Liam's body glows and Ladon manifests his massive dragon form in the room, terrifying Sheila. Ladon arrogantly declares that the nation is now named Liam Ladon. This move is Ladon's way of getting back at Sheila for her earlier comments, but it effectively cements Liam's legendary status in the eyes of the world. As night falls, Liam shows Sheila the city. She is stunned to see the entire town glowing with light. Liam explains he used high mithril silver to turn the very streets and houses into a magical network, providing everyone with light, clean water, and heat. Sheila is floored by the wealth and advanced magic required for such a feat. She then asks Liam about magic crystals, which she describes as the waste or poop of magic that forms when people use spells inefficiently. When Liam demonstrates his magic, Sheila realizes he has zero waste. Ladon explains that through his training, Liam has achieved 100% magical efficiency, something she thought was impossible. After dropping a stunned Sheila off, Ladon tells Liam that this perfect efficiency is the reason he was able to level up so incredibly fast. To prove the point, Ladon challenges Liam to try using his magic the wrong way, inefficiently, to see the difference for himself. Liam decided to test Ladon's advice by using his magic as inefficiently as possible. He tried to fire a simple magic missile, but due to the massive waste of energy, the spell didn't even activate. However, Ladon was thrilled, explaining that Liam's talent was so high he could drop his efficiency to 0 instantly. Suddenly, Liam noticed glowing, firefly-like lights floating in the air and settling on the ground. Ladon explained that this was lost magic, the energy wasted by others, which eventually piles up like dust. When this waste accumulates over time, it crystallizes into magic crystals. Liam followed the energy trail to an empty lot and dug up a beautiful, multicolored stone the size of a fist. Ladon revealed that while these crystals are useless for casting magic, they are incredibly rare and valuable to humans. Because they often form on battlefields where magic is used recklessly, they are known as blood soul. A crystal this size was worth several times more than a diamond. Liam realized he could turn these crystals into a major export for his kingdom. The next day, Liam summoned Bruno, a merchant noble and his subordinate, to discuss the discovery. Bruno was shocked to hear that Liam could produce these crystals stably. He explained that their value depends on the beauty of their internal layers, which usually takes about 300 years to refine naturally underground. Liam simply smiled and pulled out a magical trash can he usually used to age alcohol, where 1 hour inside equaled 1 year of time. By leaving a crystal in the box for 2 weeks, he could simulate 300 years of aging. After 2 weeks, the crystal had shrunk but became far more vivid and clear. Bruno was amazed, noting that this aged jewel was now a one-of-a-kind treasure. Liam decided to send this 500-year-old blood soul as a gift to the Quistador Kingdom to seal their new alliance. He used a high-level illusion spell to send a magical clone, along with a delegation led by Riene the elf. The mission was a massive success. Riene returned reporting that the Queen of Quistador was stunned by the gift, claiming a single stone of that quality could buy an entire province. With the alliance secured and the human nations of Palta and Jamal now hesitant to attack, Liam finally felt he could relax. However, the peace was short-lived. Liam received an urgent call from his subordinate Guy. A group of elite hunters from the Hunters Guild had launched a surprise attack. Liam immediately teleported to the scene, bringing Bruno along in case he could negotiate with the guild. He arrived to find his strongest warriors, Guy the Gigas and Chris the Werewolf, badly injured and refusing to fight back effectively. Liam quickly intervened, firing a barrage of 29 power missiles to force the hunters back before healing his troops. The attackers, 2 men and a woman, seemed completely unfazed, casually joking about capturing the girls in Liam's group for fun. Liam was confused why his top fighters had been beaten so easily. Guy explained that they were simply following Liam's earlier orders not to cause trouble with humans. Liam realized the misunderstanding and clarified that don't pick a fight didn't mean don't defend yourself. Hearing this, Chris's eyes lit up, ready to finally cut loose against the hunters. With Liam's permission to defend themselves, Guy and Chris immediately started bickering over who would get to handle the hunters alone. To settle the dispute, they played a game of rock, paper, scissors. Chris won and faced the 3 A-rank hunters, Hawk, Sita, and Ties, by himself. While the hunters launched a coordinated attack of lightning, fire, and physical strength, Chris ended the fight in an instant. He used clones to deliver a single synchronized blow to each of them, knocking all 3 unconscious. Bruno was shocked, explaining that A-rank hunters are famous for taking down disaster-level threats, yet Chris had handled them like children. Liam approached the fallen hunters and used his healing magic to wake them up. This act of kindness, combined with his casual display of power, earned him even deeper respect from his monster subordinates, who looked at him with hero worship. Once awake, the hunters were cautious but willing to talk. They explained that the Hunters Guild had issued a quest to exterminate the monsters in the area because nobody believed the rumors that a legitimate nation was being built. To prevent future attacks, the hunters suggested that Liam's kingdom needed to be officially classified as untouchable, a rank reserved for being so powerful that any attempt to fight them is suicide. To help them report this, Liam agreed to pay them and provide a demonstration of his power using a danger-measuring doll. Equipping his best gear and maximizing his efficiency, Liam blasted the doll with 67 consecutive power missiles. The doll turned pitch black, indicating an SSS rank threat. The hunters were terrified, realizing Liam was on a level they couldn't even comprehend. Later, Liam held a meeting with his inner circle, including Riene, Guy, Chris, Alucard, and Jody. Asuna returned with news from the guilds. The kingdom was now officially untouchable. While this meant the guild would stop sending hunters, the group acknowledged that human nations might still try something. Asuna also revealed that Chris had been given a personal bounty of 200 gold coins as an S-rank monster, while Liam's bounty was set at a massive 500 gold coins, dead or alive. Guy was disappointed to find he only had a D-rank bounty because he had lost his earlier fight, leading to another round of bickering between him and Chris. Determined to raise his bounty and prove his worth, Guy went to the outskirts of town to intercept a new group of 4 adventurers. He easily beat them but was suddenly hit by a mental magic spell. The giant Gigas began skipping and dancing childishly, caught in a hallucination. One of the adventurers, an androgynous man, turned his magic on Liam. Instead of blocking it, Liam decided to experience the spell out of curiosity. He was instantly transported into a mental world filled with thousands of rare magic books. While he enjoyed the hallucination of limitless knowledge, the effect eventually wore off, and he returned to reality to find the adventurers had fled. Liam realized that while his kingdom was safe from most, he still had much to learn about the different types of magic in the world. Liam decided to use the magic he just experienced to cast mind illusion on himself. Within an hour, he mastered the technique, allowing him to learn spells simply by experiencing their effects on his own body rather than studying books. He tested his new knowledge by casting a sleep spell on Guy, who was still hallucinating and dancing. The massive giant collapsed into a peaceful sleep, looking surprisingly cute. Ladon was impressed by Liam's focused madness and his obsession with magic, which Liam admitted stemmed from his long-standing desire for magic since his previous life. Ladon then offered to teach Liam even more advanced magic. She manifested as a young girl and suddenly vanished, performing a high-level feat that Liam initially thought was teleportation. However, after noticing that Guy had shifted positions in his sleep instantly, Liam realized Ladon was actually using Time Flies, a spell that freezes time for everyone except the caster. Liam practiced until he could replicate the sensation, successfully freezing Ladon's time and poking her cheek before returning to his spot. He spent the entire night being hit by Ladon's spells to copy them, adding 10 new abilities to his arsenal, including the power to transform his physical appearance. The next morning, Liam teleported back to the city and met Asuna. She informed him that Princess Sheila had returned alone. Liam met Sheila at the guest house, where she immediately noticed he had grown even stronger overnight. She made a personal request. She wanted Liam to protect a group of monsters called Pillings, located in her territory. Pillings are incredibly cute, furball-like creatures that are highly sought after as pets. However, Sheila explained that they are extremely sensitive to stress. Being handled by humans often causes them to die shortly after being captured. She wanted them moved to Liam's monster kingdom where they could live in peace. Liam agreed and decided to head to the Seam Forest immediately. To keep their mission a secret, Liam used his transformation magic to turn himself into a handsome adult man and turned Sheila into a young child. Sheila was visibly flustered by Liam's attractive adult form but focused on the mission. Using magical wings, Liam flew Sheila to the forest, where they quickly discovered a hunter raiding a Pilling's nest. The hunter had a burlap sack filled with captured creatures and was about to snatch more. When Liam confronted him, the hunter attacked with a knife. To hide his true identity as a master mage, Liam refrained from using his signature spell. Instead, he used a minor wind spirit sylph to catch the falling sack of Pillings and then moved with enhanced speed to knock the hunter unconscious with a single strike. Sheila checked on the captured Pillings, finding them alive but terrified. Knowing that these creatures could understand human language, Liam turned toward the remaining Pillings hiding in the shadows to begin convincing them to move to his kingdom. Liam called out to the Pillings, trying to show he meant no harm, but they only responded with chirps and whispers. Realizing he couldn't understand them, he teleported back to the city and grabbed 2 slimes, Slarun and Slapon, to act as interpreters. With the slimes translating, Liam learned the Pillings were extremely suspicious because humans had mistreated them for so long. Liam explained his dream of a monster kingdom where they could live safely. Seeing how happy and attached the slimes were to Liam, the Pillings began to soften. During this process, Liam analyzed the flow of communication and successfully developed a translation spell of his own, though he let the slimes continue leading the talk to keep the Pillings comfortable. The Pillings eventually agreed to move but revealed a major problem. They were tied to a spawn hole. Ladon explained that some monsters don't reproduce naturally but instead emerge from specific magical points in the earth, like fruit growing on a tree. They couldn't leave because their magical roots were deep in the ground. Liam promised to move the entire spawn hole to his city. Following the Pillings to a hidden cave, Liam used his advanced magic to map out the massive 100-meter-wide network of magical roots. He carefully separated the magical energy from the dirt and rocks, ensuring not a single root was damaged. Once the connection to the earth was severed, Liam teleported everyone and the entire magical source to an empty lot in his kingdom. The roots immediately took hold, and the Pillings were overjoyed to find their birthplace successfully transplanted. Liam then began the process of making them official citizens. He signed familia contracts with over 100 Pillings and gave them names. He named their leader Manwha. While they didn't physically evolve like previous monsters, the contract allowed them to use the city's life magic for things like fire, light, and communication. As the Pillings began using their new magic, the city's streets started to pulse with light. The massive amount of mana from the city's other residents, elves, werewolves, and vampires, began flowing into the newly transplanted spawn hole. This surge of diverse energy triggered a rare event, the birth of a king. A new Pilling emerged, possessing an overwhelming presence and the ability to speak clearly. This Pilling's king immediately caused all the other Pillings to evolve into a superior species called Fairy Floss, giving them the ability to fly. The king explained that he could magically summon his subjects to his side and communicate with them regardless of distance. The Pilling's king knelt before Liam, calling him Father King and pledging his loyalty. Liam decided that since the king would be a key leader, he needed a proper name. The king trembled with excitement, considering it a massive honor to receive a name from Liam. Liam officially named the Pilling King Kaiser and cast the Familia spell on him. Kaiser's body glowed and became even fluffier as he evolved into the Fairy Floss King. He quickly mastered flight and took to the skies with his subjects. Princess Sheila thanked Liam for protecting the creatures, and Liam assured her they were safe in his kingdom. Suddenly, Liam received a magical telephone call from Scarlet, who was away on a mission. She needed to report something important in person. Liam used his new understanding of summoning magic, inspired by Kaiser's ability to call his subjects, to instantly teleport Scarlet to his side. While meeting with her, Liam received more calls from Guy and Chris. They had successfully cleared out spies hiding around the kingdom. Guy had broken the limbs of spies in the west, while Chris had captured those in the east without using weapons. The two subordinates began bickering over who was more efficient, each trying to outdo the other to impress Liam. Scarlet reported that the kingdom of Jamal was serious about invading, with an initial force of 20,000 soldiers aiming to seize Liam's rare resources. Ladon advised Liam that simply crushing the army might backfire, as desperate losers often keep fighting to recoup their losses. Instead, Liam decided to use overwhelming terror. He visited the spies Guy had defeated, who were now terrified because they had no memory of how they were beaten, and realized that the fear of the unknown is a powerful weapon. Liam traveled to the kingdom's border with Scarlet. To clearly mark his territory, he donned his Guardian Ladon magical armor and cast a massive spell called Mosquito Net. This created a 20-meter-high wall of red light around the entire country. He explained that this wasn't a physical barrier to keep people out, but a weak warning sign. Anyone crossing the red line with hostile intent would be shown no mercy. That night, Liam watched from a hill as Jamal's army of 10,000 ignored the red wall and set up camp inside his borders. Following his plan to cause maximum confusion with 0 casualties, he ordered Guy and Chris to launch a coordinated surprise attack from the east and west. As the two warriors tore through the camp, Liam had them systematically destroy all light sources. In the total darkness of the moonless night, the Jamal soldiers panicked, unable to see how few attackers there were. The chaos escalated into friendly fire, with the invaders attacking their own comrades in the dark. Watching the camp fall into a complete mess, Liam prepared for the next phase of his strategy. Liam decided to end the chaos in the Jamal army's camp. He used his summoning magic to instantly pull Guy and Chris back to his side, surprising them. As he watched the confused invaders through his telescope, he realized that his strategy of hit-and-run tactics followed by an instant magical retreat was incredibly effective. Ladon praised him, noting that the psychological toll on the humans would be massive. The next morning, the Jamal army resumed their march, only to find 200 elves waiting for them. The commander, thinking it was a simple ambush, ordered an attack. However, the elves simultaneously cast a dark spell, instantly turning the morning into a pitch-black eclipse. In the sudden void, the soldiers panicked. Spears of ice began raining down from the woods on both sides. Because fire magic is more common in human militaries, the soldiers were completely unprepared for the invisible, silent ice projectiles. Amidst the darkness and screams, Guy and Chris infiltrated the main force and began taking down high-ranking units. By the time the darkness cleared, 2,000 Jamal soldiers were dead. The terrified commander, fearing what else might be hiding in the shadows, ordered a full retreat. Liam watched them flee and sent Alucard, the noble vampire, to infiltrate the retreating command unit. He explained to Ladon that he used dark magic, because he knew from experience that humans lose focus when their environment suddenly changes. Ladon was impressed but warned Liam that petty tactics could be counterproductive. Sometimes, a losing enemy will keep pushing for a decisive battle just to save face. Ladon told Liam his cooking was perfect, but it was missing the final seasoning, a display of raw, undeniable power. Taking this advice, Liam stood alone on the plain directly in the path of the retreating army. As the 10,000 soldiers stopped in their tracks, Liam raised his hand and began a massive chant. A series of giant glowing magic circles stacked on top of each other, rising high into the sky like a tower of light. He unleashed a strategic-level grand spell, Eternal Blaze, Pitch-black flames erupted, engulfing the Jamal army in an intense fire that could not be extinguished by normal means. The devastation was absolute. Later in the Jamal capital, the Minister of Military Affairs and the commander of the Royal Guard listened to a report from Harley, a general who had survived the slaughter. Harley admitted that 80% of his forces were lost or had deserted. The ministers realized that Liam wasn't just a powerful mage. He was a brilliant strategist who knew how to exploit human psychology. They labeled him a monster in human skin, and realized that his flexibility in using both subtle tricks and massive destruction made him a threat unlike any they had ever faced. Back in the Monster Kingdom, a massive banquet was held to celebrate the victory. The city was glowing and full of energy, as they had repelled a massive invasion without a single casualty on their side. Asuna returned from the Hunters Guild and reported that the guild members weren't scared. Instead, they were laughing at the Jamal Kingdom's incompetence. They saw the army as fools who had poked a beehive and gotten exactly what they deserved. Liam's reputation as an untouchable force was now firmly established. Liam compared his strategy to a beehive, harmless and less disturbed, but dangerous to anyone trying to steal the honey. Asuna confirmed that the Hunters Guild respected this boundary, though she warned that they might turn against the city if offered enough money. She then revealed that Guy and Chris now had official bounties on their heads. Guy was thrilled to see his bounty hit 100 gold coins, but Chris one-upped him with a 210 gold coin bounty and a new nickname, the Silver Werewolf. While Chris gloated, Guy was left fuming over his own lack of a cool title. During the celebration, an elf girl approached Liam, admiring the divine aura he had while casting his massive spells, which even Asuna admitted made him look like a god. Business resumed when a messenger named Nick North arrived from the Jamal Kingdom, representing their Minister of Foreign Affairs. He respectfully asked permission to enter the battlefield to collect the bodies of their fallen soldiers. Liam, advised by the dragon spirit Ladon that returning the dead was a standard custom of war, agreed to help. He instantly teleported the delegation to the site of the final battle. To ensure their safety while keeping them contained, Liam created a special blue-bordered path through his red barrier, warning them that crossing into the red zone was strictly forbidden. To make sure the Jamal forces behaved, Liam decided to leave a permanent guard. He summoned Ladon, who appeared not as a small girl, but in her true, massive dragon form. The sight of the legendary beast terrified the messengers, ensuring they wouldn't dare break any rules. Ladon privately admitted she enjoyed scaring them, finding it quite fun to play the role of a terrifying guardian. Later, Liam began preparing for the future. He realized that if an enemy ever used magic canceller spells, his teleportation and communication abilities would be useless. He tested this by cutting off Asuna and Jody's magic phone, forcing them to realize how vulnerable they were. To prepare for a potential siege where even his item box storage might be sealed, Liam decided to create a physical food warehouse. After hours of focus, Liam invented a new type of disposable storage magic. He compressed a mountain of fruit into a tiny, indestructible box. However, Jody pointed out that such a small object could easily be lost or stolen. Liam improved the design by making the storage boxes invisible and intangible, using the concept of air, so they couldn't be touched or moved unless someone knew exactly where they were. He planned to hide these invisible food stashes all over the city, set to automatically release their contents if an emergency ever cut off the city's magic. Liam tweaked his storage magic based on Jody's advice. To prevent people from getting hurt if items suddenly appeared out of nowhere, he added a warning system. Now, a red light flashes and a voice announces the release of food 10 seconds before the items reappear. Jody was clearly impressed, though she kept blushing as Liam stared intensely at her to visualize the new spell. That night, Ladon visited Liam in her dragon form before shifting into her small girl appearance. She reported that the Jamal Kingdom's representatives had finished collecting their dead, but they only took the wealthy officers and commanders, leaving the common soldiers behind. Ladon mocked how humans only care about money, even in death. Ladon then pushed Liam to think bigger with his new invisible storage magic. After some brainstorming, Liam realized he could hide more than just food. He decided to store weapons and magic armor that would automatically deploy if the city's magic was ever suppressed. Taking it a step further, Liam went to the coast and used his spirits, a gnome and a salamander, to extract and melt sand into massive glass blocks. He hid these invisible glass walls all around the city. If an emergency occurs, the magic will deactivate, and the city will instantly be surrounded by a 5-meter-thick glass fortress. Ladon was delighted by his creativity, noting that humans usually need several tries to get an idea right. Later, Liam's brother Bruno arrived with news. The Jamal Kingdom, terrified by Liam's power, wanted a ceasefire. However, they planned to blame the entire war on greedy individuals as human sacrifices to save face. Liam was disgusted by this cowardice and told Bruno to warn them. If they try to pull that stunt, things will get much worse for them. To drive the point home, Liam teleported to the Jamal capital that same night. Instead of attacking, he used simple light magic to make the roofs of the government buildings and noble mansions glow brightly. It was a silent, terrifying message. He could reach them whenever he wanted. The next morning, while Liam was walking his slime pets, Slarun and Slapon, Scarlet joined him. She warned that the Jamal nobles are so obsessed with their pride that they would likely try to retaliate out of embarrassment. Just as she said this, a loud crash echoed nearby. Liam teleported to the source and found an assassin trying to sneak into the city using invisibility magic. Liam didn't even need to chant. He instantly summoned a massive downpour of water over the area, which revealed the assassin's silhouette in the rain. He then took the man down with a power missile. Liam explained to a surprised Scarlet that he had already upgraded the city's shield to detect and cancel any active magic trying to enter. He expected more prideful fools to try their luck, but for now, he was ready for whatever they threw at him. Liam repaired the absolute magic shield and returned to the city with his new prisoner. He soon received a call from Alucard, who had spotted a group of humans trying to sneak in from the southwest. Alucard revealed that while the group pretended to retreat after their scout was caught, they were actually digging an underground tunnel. Alucard had discovered this by using his new evolved skill to hide in the enemy's own shadows, allowing him to overhear their conversations perfectly. The infiltrators were terrified, fearing that a man named Lord Wells would kill them if they failed. Liam consulted Scarlet about this Wells. She identified him as Wells Ware, the aggressive commander of the Royal Guard and the king's cousin. Scarlet suggested letting Wells continue his attempt for a bit before sending him away, as he was the type of man who only listened to reason after a direct confrontation. Following this advice, Liam ordered Alucard to scare the infiltrators into running away by making it clear they were being watched. He also hyped up Guy and Chris to handle any other intruders, keeping their competitive spirits high. Ladon, the dragon spirit, warned Liam that his overwhelming power was actually making the human leaders hesitate because they couldn't understand him. She predicted that someone high-ranking, like Wells himself, would eventually come to see if Liam was truly as dangerous as he seemed. 2 weeks later, Wells Ware arrived in person to discuss a ceasefire. Liam was ready to agree and was about to offer a formal friendship and non-aggression pact, but Ladon sharply interrupted him through their mental link. She told Liam not to sell at a discount and to wait for Wells to make the first move. Liam followed her lead and stayed quiet. To Liam's surprise, Wells didn't just want a ceasefire. He proposed a formal alliance and even suggested a marriage involving Princess Scarlet to seal the deal. Wells was visibly relieved when Liam agreed, admitting that they had no intention of asking for the princess back. To celebrate the deal, Liam used a dust box, a magical space where time moves much faster, to instantly age some wine for 55 years. When Wells smelled the cork, he was stunned by the quality and the fact that Liam could manipulate time itself. When Wells returned to the Jamal capital, he met secretly with the high-ranking noble Hampton. Wells was dead serious, describing Liam not as a human, but as a monster in human skin. He told Hampton how Liam mastered complex magic in seconds and could bend time to make vintage wine. When Hampton asked how many men it would take to defeat Liam, Wells bluntly answered, 100,000, and even then the loss wouldn't be worth it. They realized Liam was a nightmare scenario, a monstrously powerful mage who actually listened to smart advisors. After Wells left, Liam focused on a new project. Inspired by the idea of sharing information with his city, he wanted to create a way for all his contracted monsters and residents to access knowledge instantly. He brainstormed with Ladon about creating a library without books. Ladon showed him a spell that made text float in the air and suggested that instead of physical books that can only be used by one person at a time, he should store knowledge as pure magical information. This would allow everyone in the city to access the same information simultaneously from anywhere. Liam loved the idea and began developing a magical infrastructure where knowledge could be uploaded and downloaded by anyone with a familiar contract, effectively creating a magical information network for his kingdom. Liam finished setting up the city's magical core, a building filled with high mithril silver connected to all the roads. He activated his new network magic, and a translucent bookshelf appeared. This system allows people to send instant magical letters that others can read whenever they are free, solving the problem of missed phone calls. At first, the system was a bit messy. Chris and Guy were using it to bicker, and Liam realized he couldn't tell who was sending what. He quickly modified the spell so that the sender's name appeared on the book's spine. As soon as he did, his bookshelf was flooded with messages. Flora, Scarlet, Asuna, and Jody all sent him digital love letters, making him realize just how popular the new system had become. Later, Riene used a new feature called Eagle Eye to send a realistic image, a photograph, to Liam's bookshelf. It showed a group of high-ranking priests approaching the border. Scarlett identified the leader as Archbishop Cardinal, the second most powerful person in the church. Liam agreed to a formal meeting and hosted them at the city's guest house. The meeting started with tension. The younger priests accompanying the cardinal mocked Liam's casual noble clothes, calling him a monster king and a mere child. However, Cardinal silenced his rude subordinates and apologized to Liam, showing deep respect. He admitted he had brought former soldiers as guards because he expected a terrifying land of monsters, but was stunned to find a beautiful, vibrant city instead. As Liam walked the group to their VIP quarters that evening, the sun set and the entire city began to glow with magical streetlights. Liam explained that he had buried rare high mithril silver under every street to power the city's magic, including water and fire systems for every home. The priests were shocked by the sheer wealth and power required to use such rare materials as common infrastructure. To show off a bit more, Liam demonstrated his telephone magic, allowing the priest to hear him speak to Riene from a distance. When Cardinal asked if Liam had actually invented these spells himself, Liam, following the dragon spirit Ladon's advice, revealed that he had developed about 10 entirely new types of magic. The revelation left the church leaders terrified, realizing they weren't just dealing with a king, but a genius who could rewrite the rules of magic. The church officials were left in shock, realizing that Liam wasn't just a powerful king, but a genius who could fundamentally change the laws of magic. As the priests panicked and whispered among themselves, Liam felt a bit confused by their fear. He didn't quite understand why they were so terrified, but Ladon, the dragon spirit, assured him through their mental link that this was exactly the reaction she had planned for their negotiation. After settling the archbishop and his group at the city's inn, Liam returned to his private home in another world to rest. He felt relieved that the church's intervention would finally settle the conflict with the Jamal kingdom. However, he felt he should offer a formal gift to ensure things went smoothly. Ladon appeared in her human form and suggested a gift that would be far more effective than gold or sweets: a brand new magic spell. Ladon advised him to create a unique spell and turn it into a grimoire, a magic book that only humans could use, not the monsters in his city. This would make it incredibly rare and valuable. Liam decided on weather magic. He visualized a massive version of the showers found in noble mansions and created a spell that could make it rain over a 100-meter radius. He quickly compiled this into a grimoire and sent it to the Jamal kingdom. The impact was immediate and far greater than Liam expected. Not only was Jamal thrilled, but the two neighboring nations, the Duchy of Parta and the Kingdom of Quistador, suddenly stopped their hostile behavior and begged for an alliance. Liam was baffled by their sudden change of heart until Ladon explained the strategy. By giving Jamal a spell that could end droughts and save thousands of lives, the other countries realized that being Liam's friend brought massive benefits, while being his enemy meant being left behind. They were now terrified that Jamal would become the most powerful nation in the region simply by staying on Liam's good side. Ladon admitted she had orchestrated the whole thing, knowing Liam's talent was the strongest piece in her game. She pointed out that while making it rain seemed simple to Liam, it was a 1-in-a-million level of talent for humans. Feeling inspired, Liam began working on even more magic. He developed a photography spell that could capture a perfect image and print it directly onto paper. He also started designing a magical bulletin board system that would allow a government to update signs in every remote village simultaneously, ensuring information was never distorted. When Liam prepared to give these new inventions to the other two kingdoms as alliance gifts, Ladon stopped him. She told him not to sell himself short. She reminded him that these countries had been aggressive and disrespectful until very recently. Instead of rewarding them immediately, she advised him to keep giving the best gifts to Jamal first. This would force the other nations to compete for his favor and work even harder to prove their loyalty, rather than Liam having to chase after them. Liam, trusting Ladon's wisdom as always, agreed to hold back and let the humans sweat. Liam decided to level up his magic based on Ladon's advice, realizing that simple static magic was boring. He evolved his communication spell into a video call system, allowing people to see each other's faces in real time. Ladon was impressed by how quickly he mastered the concept. When the Jamal Kingdom's peace delegation arrived, Liam put on a show. The third prince, David Matthew Jamal, rode into the city on a white horse, acting like a typical arrogant royal. To ensure every citizen could see the parade, Liam created giant magical screens in the sky that broadcasted the prince's arrival live. While the prince and his guards were baffled by the high-tech display, the local monsters were mostly unimpressed, seeing the prince as just another stuck-up human. Ladon pointed out that while Liam's magic worked perfectly, it was incredibly inefficient in terms of mana consumption. Usually, creating multiple magical projections would cost an impossible amount of energy, but Liam did it easily, not realizing that his normal was actually godlike power. The formal meeting with Prince David quickly turned sour. The prince treated Liam like a lowly noble's son and demanded that Liam send the beautiful elf girls to his room for his own pleasure. Liam was disgusted. He maintained his composure, but behind him, Riene and the other elves were radiating pure murderous intent. Liam flatly refused the prince's demand. He explained that since all his residents are bound by familiar contracts, they are forced to obey him, and because of that, he made a vow never to give an order that violates their personal will or dignity. This declaration moved the elves to tears, deepening their loyalty even further. Prince David, acting more like a common thug than a royal, lost his temper and kicked a table, insulting Liam for being too soft. Before the situation could spiral, the elves snapped. With terrifying precision, they fired a volley of arrows that pinned the prince to his sofa by his clothes without scratching his skin. They warned him that the arrows were poisoned and one move would end him. When the prince tried to lunge at them anyway, Liam stepped in. He blasted David in the face with a power missile, knocking him out cold instantly. Liam did this not just to punish the prince, but to save his life. He knew that if he hadn't intervened, the elves would have killed David on the spot. The prince's guards were terrified and tried to claim Liam had committed a grave offense. Liam calmly played back a magical recording of the entire encounter, showing the prince's harassment and his own violent outburst. He threatened to send the footage to both the king of Jamel and the church. Realizing this would ruin the prince's reputation and likely start a war they couldn't win, the guards quickly agreed to keep the incident a secret. Liam healed the prince's injuries with a quick spell, but kept him unconscious for the day. As the guards carried their leader away, Riene thanked Liam, noting that the video evidence was a much more powerful weapon than any physical punch. As the room cleared, Ladon warned Liam not to relax. She predicted that as soon as David woke up, he would try to spread lies to the church official. She advised Liam to start laying the groundwork immediately to ensure his version of the story reached the cardinal first. Ladon warned Liam that Prince David would likely fabricate a massive lie to the church to make Liam look like the villain. To get ahead of the drama, Liam teleported to the Redwall border to intercept Archbishop Cardinal. Using a new form of visual magic that acted like a cloaking mirror, Liam created a private space for them to talk. He showed the Cardinal a magical recording of David's arrogant behavior and the subsequent punch. The Cardinal was horrified, but admitted that David had a long-standing reputation for being a disaster. He explained that the prince likely underestimated Liam because he was a child ruling a land of monsters. The Cardinal promised to handle the situation by giving David a sermon he wouldn't forget. Ladon noted that the church leaders were actually afraid of Liam's magic because it revealed undeniable facts, which was the natural enemy of religious miracle. Liam put the Cardinal at ease by promising never to use his truth-revealing magic against the church. Shortly after, David arrived at the border, red-faced and furious, but the Cardinal immediately pulled him aside for a harsh scolding. Later, during a formal meeting at the guest house, Liam and David signed a friendship treaty witnessed by the church. David was so bitter that he jumped up and stormed out the moment the ink was dry. With the treaty finalized, the Cardinal invited Liam to a Council of the Four Kings at the holy city of Uldau. This was a massive move, as it meant the church was officially recognizing Liam as a legitimate king, forcing the neighboring human nations to do the same. With his status as a king now official, more monsters flocked to the city for protection. Liam spent his days evolving nearly 100 harpies into a superior species and turning them into his familiar. Despite the luxury of his new royal palace, Liam felt his magic was lacking in one specific area: creation. He realized most of his spells were for combat or utility, but he rarely made anything physical. The realization hit him while resting in his room. Despite a fire in the fireplace, the high ceilings made the room stay cold near the floor while his head felt hot. He complained that his feet were freezing, but putting a fire on the floor would just fill the room with smoke. Ladon told him to stop thinking like a human and start thinking like a mage. Following her advice, Liam visualized a way to warm the room from the ground up without fire. He built a small wooden frame on the floor to test his theory and cast a new spell. The floor inside the frame instantly began to glow and emit a gentle, steady heat. Liam stepped onto it and felt a comfortable warmth rising through his feet, successfully inventing a magical version of underfloor heating. He realized that by applying his magic to everyday problems, he could revolutionize the comfort of his entire kingdom.